And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to Fresh&Fit Podcast, aka Fresh&Fit News. We're going to be covering a lot of things today. World War III, the markets tumbling, UK riots. Let's get into it, guys.
Let's go!
And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fresh&Fit Podcast, man, aka it's Fresh&Fit News. As you guys know, it's Monday night. I'm excited for this one. We got a lot of topics to talk about. We're going to be covering World War III, the UK riots, Venezuela, the controversy going on at the Olympics with the Algerian boxer, and what gender she may or may not be. A lot of things that we got. And I got a special guest in the back, actually, which I'm going to reveal to you guys here in a second. But before I get into that, guys, ffpod.org, okay? The yacht party is going to be this Saturday, August 10th, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. We got pictures of the yacht, actually, which if we could bring those up here, Bill's ready to go here in a second. It's going to be crazy, guys. It's only $9.98 to jump on the yacht. We have holds 350 to 380 people, 130 foot plus. It's going to be huge. We have a VIP sections are sold out, my bad. But yeah, general admission, guys, is only $9.98, man. Open bar, free food, etc. It's going to be litty, guys. Make sure to come and join us here. I got some photos here that we're going to put up on screen in a second. Can they see it?
Yeah, they can see it.
Okay, guys, that right there is the yacht. It's huge. It's brand new. It's going to be a good time, guys. All right, so that's going to be August 10th. Again, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Get your tickets now, all right, guys, because the party's going to be lit. We're going to be streaming IRL as well. Bills are going to be there, me. We'll see if we get some other influencers to show up. And we're going to have a bunch of girls. We're going to have easily 150 to 200 girls. We have about 100 spots or so for the guys. So it's going to be a good time, guys. Make sure to join in, man. ffpod.org. Get your tickets now while you guys can. And, yeah, hope to see you guys there. Okay, with that said, rumble.com/freshfit, as you guys know, that is a home base for us. And if we ever get canceled, you know exactly where to find us. Also, castclub.tv, guys, we're going to be doing a Zoom call with Chris Crone tomorrow at 3 p.m. Again, for Cast Club members, we're going to be doing a Zoom call with Chris Crone, billionaire real estate investor, okay? Tomorrow at 3 p.m. we're going to be going over real estate, how to make millions doing it, how to go ahead and get real estate, whether you have low to no money, bad credit scores, whatever it may be. We're going to go ahead and teach you guys how to get real estate and build some goddamn wealth and stop being a brokey. So that's going to be 3 p.m. tomorrow, Cows Club. And then also, I'll probably be going on InfoWars at about 5 p.m. tomorrow with Owen Schroyer. So that's going to be a good time. Tune into InfoWars tomorrow at 5 p.m. Yeah, I think that's most of the announcements. Did I miss anything, Bills? Mo? No? Okay. Anyway, so without further ado, guys, we're going to have to switch on over to Rumble here. And I know a lot of you guys are like, what the hell? We just started the show. But I got a special guest in the house who is a geopolitical commentator that is very well-versed in warfare and strategy. And we're going to have to do it on Rumble. I got Scott Ritter in the fucking house. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to Rumble real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and start talking about World War III with Sulaiman and Scott. As you guys know, there's been rising tensions now for a while. And, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and go over how we got here. Let me know, Mo, when we're clear.
Give us a second.
Yep. Switching on over right now, guys. We're using Rumble Studio, so it takes a second. But come on over to Rumble, guys. Don't worry, we'll be back on YouTube, but, yeah.
Link is in the chat. Once I see it, we're good.
We're on Rumble? All right,
Yes,
cool. Let's bring Scott in. Scott, welcome to the Fresh&Fit Podcast, man. I'm happy to have you back. We got Scott Ritter in the house, guys, geopolitical commentator and military strategist, obviously very knowledgeable. A lot of people bring him on to talk about conflicts like this. Scott, I know who you are, but can you introduce yourself to the people for those that might be unaware?
Sure. I am a former Marine Corps intelligence officer. I did that job for a little bit more than a decade. Spent another decade doing weapons inspections in Iraq, and I resigned from that position in 1998, and I've been doing geopolitical military non-proliferation analysis ever since.
Awesome. And Sulaiman, welcome to the show as well.
Thanks
Can you
for having
introduce
me.
yourself to the people?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Again, I analyze geopolitical situations, politics, culture issues, mainly on Twitter. Obviously, I'm quite controversial because now a lot of people are crying on the chat, but we'll get into that in a second.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So I guess I'll kick it off to Scott first because we got a limited amount of time with him and want to really maximize this and utilize his expertise. Scott, there's talk all over the place saying that we're on the verge of World War III. There's been rising tension between in the Middle East, etc. I'm just going to turn it to you. How the hell did we get here, and what's going on specifically?
I mean, look, this is a story that we can take back to 1979 and the Iranian Revolution that put in place the Islamic Republic. But in terms of Israel and Iran, it started cooking in 2002 when Israel started to accuse Iran of pursuing a covert nuclear weapons program. And from the Israeli perspective, anything that deals with any aspect of the nuclear fuel cycle by a potentially hostile Muslim country is deemed an existential threat. And Iran was pursuing uranium enrichment, and Iran said that they were doing it for a peaceful nuclear energy program. But from Israel's perspective, if you can enrich to 3.5%, you can enrich to 90%, and they wanted to shut it down. And so, that's how this cycle of confrontation and isolation began. Israel later got the United States to climb on board the International Atomic Energy Agency, and then they diversified their portfolio, so to speak, by not just talking about Iran's nuclear, enrichment programs, but also potential delivery systems. And they started to talk about Iran's ballistic missile programs, and got the United States to start seeking limitations on that, banning Iranian missile programs. And of course, Iran continued to pursue its nuclear enrichment. Today, their enrichment right up to the cusp of what's needed for nuclear weapons, although they continue to say they don't want a nuclear weapon. And the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors have found no evidence that Iran is pursuing one. But Iran has developed a very effective ballistic missile capability, one which they use as a conventional deterrence against both Israel and the United States. And this is deemed to be, an existential threat to Israel. They are, they confront Iran on this. They do it, directly, and they also do it via proxies. Iran is the head of what they call the axis of resistance. That's Hezbollah in Lebanon, Syria, the pro-Iranian militias that are in Syria and Iraq, and we have Yemen, the Houthi in Yemen. They create this arc of resistance to not just Israel, but the United States and the Sunni Gulf Arab allies of the United States and Israel. And this is just a situation that's been brewing for some time now, and it's come to a head. I think we are now looking at the existential conflict between Israel and Iran. This is a life and death struggle between these two nations. This is the direction we're heading. To call it World War III is not an exaggeration.
Shit. So recent events, right? For those that are, and Sulaiman, I could turn it to you here with Hanea and his situation, because I think that's kind of the straw that broke the camel's back here. You want to kind of let the audience know what went down with him?
Yeah, of course. So basically, over the last few days, you've had some major incidences. So the first thing was you basically had Haji Mohsen, who is the Hezbollah head of basically considered almost the second in charge. So there's a disagreement whether he's second in charge or the sixth in charge, but he's a very high-ranking Hezbollah member who was basically killed in Beirut, Lebanon. Now, what's crazy about it is, first of all, Beirut is a significantly populationally dense area. There's a huge amount of population. If you look at Beirut is like a normal metropolitan city. France, you go to Paris, you go to London, highly dense
It's like
areas.
their New York City equivalent almost.
Exactly.
To give an American perspective. Okay.
But also when you go there, one assumes Lebanon is going to be like some kind of like desert type area. But if you look at it, it's very metropolitan. There's a very big nightlife. It's a very much like almost like a European city. Is
Okay.
what I'm saying. And yet that was what was bombed, a densely populated
Gotcha.
area. So, and the Hezbollah.
It's not like they bombed them in a village or something.
Exactly, and I think that's important, though, that psychology to see. Like, there was actually a lot of people around. They're not very. It's not even that. When I went there, I was like, "Whoa!" I'm in a European city. There's nothing religious about the city whatsoever.
I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of Americans are going to assume, oh, like what? They bombed them in a village somewhere, like no, two casualties, but so they bombed an area that was densely populated, the functional equivalent to like maybe a London, United Kingdom, or a New York City here.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, and then you basically
Big difference.
And and it's basically like a big nightlife, a mixture of Christians, Muslims, Druze. There's like people from a wide range of backgrounds there as well, and so you bomb that area. And then what made it next level was the fact that you basically had Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas. He normally resides in Qatar. There's this fake drama and fake news about him being a billionaire, which is completely fake news. In reality, he's lived a very impoverished lifestyle. The only reason he's in Qatar is because, just think about it logically. Like, if he's in Israel, if he's in Gaza...
Oh, he's dead.
He's dead. So it's literally saying, are you willing to just automatically kill yourself? Like, no leader who has half a brain cell would do that. You would think strategically and think that, look, the leader needs to be kept safe so that the strategy could be put in place. Also, he's the political wing, not the military wing.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to know that there's two different wings of Hamas. There's a political side that does the negotiations, and the military side that does the warfare.
That's
Correct?
right. That's right.
Okay.
And so he was part of the political wing, and so he was in Qatar. And so the only reason people say he's rich is because Qatar's basically given him asylum, essentially, to make sure that he doesn't basically get murdered. And he went to Iran for the inauguration of the new president of Iran. And so
because the last president got killed in a helicopter crash.
Allegedly.
What's your thoughts on the helicopter crash, Scott?
I think bad weather got him.
Bad weather. Bad weather.
A lot of people do.
It was cloudy that day. But a lot of people think it was Mossad that killed him.
Yeah. So look,
but
I think there's a lot of people who say that. Okay, look, it's fine. I don't mind being controversial. I'll probably lose a few more fans. But the thing is, like, a lot of people say that it was bad weather, which obviously it does seem to be the case. A lot of people are not willing to be open to the possibility that it could be something else, because essentially, if it was something else, it means that there should have been escalation at that point. Because then Iran has to do something.
Okay.
Yeah. So for that reason, like, a lot of people are like, no, it was like, everyone's happy with there being a helicopter crash. Both the Israeli side, the Iranian side, the American side, everyone's Arab, nearly every single country is happy with it being a helicopter crash, which kills the foreign minister and the president. Me personally, if you ask me, I think it's something a lot more nefarious.
You think it is more nefarious?
Yeah.
Okay. But you think they're just kind of like, look, this is what we see, and we're going to take it at that to avoid escalation.
Yeah, because what we're seeing now would have happened then.
Gotcha.
Right?
So Haniyeh is there for the new president inauguration.
Yeah, he's there for the new president's inauguration. Can
we pull up a picture of him real quick so the audience kind of knows? Ismail Haniyeh is the name. It'll come right up because he just got killed recently.
Yeah.
Bills. Go ahead.
And so he's there for the inauguration, and then he gets killed. So just think about the Hamas leader under the protection of Iran being killed. This causes major escalation. Now, the method in terms of he got killed, initially the reports were that there was an airstrike. Again, that becomes problematic because how was Iran allowed that to happen? But now the more recent reports from New York Times, obviously that's a Zionist-controlled media, but they are claiming that they'd basically put a bomb into his room a couple of months earlier, and that's an explosive into his room a couple of months earlier, and that's what caused it, and that's what basically killed him. But what that means now is Iran needs to do something, because
I heard it was a drone. That it wasn't even like, it was like a drone that was in the area that kind of snuck in. That's another story I heard.
That
I don't
was
know.
The initial reports.
Yeah.
But let's see what Scott's got to say.
Yeah, Scott, what do you think?
I believe that was debunked.
I don't have access to the forensic data. Both scenarios are very disturbing if you're an Iranian. On the one hand, for the Mossad to have the ability to, pre-deploy a high explosive device into a IRGC guest room that's supposedly, extraordinarily well secured. That's a huge security issue for the Iranians. On the other hand, if Mossad has the ability to deploy, armed drones in Tehran, that means that they've got them pre-positioned either in the city or just outside the city and are able to control them and fly. And either way, it's a bad day for the Iranians. This is a big security breach on the part of Iran. From an intelligence operation standpoint, it's a big victory for Israel.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, and I did see news also that a couple days after they said dozens of Iranian arrests in Iran of IRGC officials. So I think that leads me to believe that there was a mole. Someone gave up his position, and they were able to go ahead and get him executed.
Well, that was
Did you
one
hear
of
about
the
that?
yeah. I mean, that was one of the links that we prepared. But basically, one of the reports was that they were able to locate his exact location. Although that goes with the original claim, which was yours, which was that it was a drone attack.
Yeah.
Which was that they were able to locate his position through the WhatsApp application.
Yes, I heard that too.
Yeah. So through WhatsApp, they were able to pinpoint his location and then do the drone strike. So that was one of the reports. Then the other report.
But that got debunked, right? The WhatsApp one?
Yeah, I mean, the whole drone thing got debunked, right?
Okay.
In terms of not debunked, they said that's not the more plausible one. The more plausible one is the putting the bomb into the room 2 months earlier.
Okay.
As Scott said, I think I completely agree with him that both of them do lead to question marks about Israeli infiltration into Iran.
Regardless,
if they're able to do either one of them, it shows great weakness in the security of Iran.
Yeah, it makes them look bad. I mean, how much? I mean, for the audience, can you guys? How much of an embarrassment is this politically for the Iranian regime, in your guys' opinion?
I think this is devastating for Iran. Israel has been able to penetrate Iran for decades now. They were able to, get the Stuxnet virus inserted into Natanz. They were able to get explosives inserted into Natanz and Firdos. They've been able to assassinate Iranian scientists in downtown Tehran. They've been able to blow up Iranian missile factories, and now they're able to assassinate a high-level Hamas official in Tehran who's under the protection of the Iranian government. What Israel is saying is we can kill anybody, anytime, anywhere we want to, which includes the Iranian president and the supreme leader. And this is something that the Iranians have to take into account if they are going to get into a full-scale conflict with Israel. Is that their leadership needs to be taken away from Tehran, because Tehran is not safe territory for Iran.
So Scott, are you saying that basically what this has caused is almost inevitably a lack of confidence even in Iran's own innate ability about themselves? Because if this was allowed to happen, it means going forward, if there is escalation, there is a direct conflict, you're going to have a scenario where they would have question marks about their own abilities and their own defense capabilities.
I think what it means is that Israel has a network in place inside Iran, inside Tehran, that is able to carry out targeted assassinations on command. And it's something that the Iranians haven't been able to unravel yet, and it's something that they would have to be concerned with, and it would be disruptive to the Iranians in any major conflict between Iran and Israel.
I mean, that is a major concern, right? Because you're basically...
That's why they made all these arrests. They said dozens of arrests is what I saw. But...
Yeah, exactly. They made a dozen arrests, and even then that won't basically completely eradicate the entire network that they have, because you need to have a very you'll know a lot about this as well. You have a lot of strong, complex network to be able to essentially assassinate a president on foreign soil in enemy territory.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. I mean, obviously it's a huge political blunder for Iran. It makes them look very weak. So obviously we talked about what went down in Lebanon. We talked about what happened in Tehran, and then also I got some reports that an Iraqi commander was also killed during that 24 hours by an American airstrike, which leads me to believe that the purpose of Netanyahu's visit 2 weeks ago wasn't necessarily to, just do a speech, which he did in Congress, right? And they all clapped for him 81 times. It was to get a green light for this. What do you guys think as far as Netanyahu coming over here and potentially using that as an opportunity to get a green light from the United States?
I think that there's no doubt that Netanyahu, I think the primary purpose of this trip was to get him cloaked in the American flag, because he is in an extraordinarily weak position politically inside Israel with a coalition that if Netanyahu doesn't fully embrace far right-wing escalatory actions against Iran and Hamas, the coalition will collapse, and that spells trouble for him politically. And so I think he was getting himself wrapped in the American flag and having the United States Congress anoint him as the chosen one, so that he could turn to the Israeli public and say, as we move forward, I'm the one that America has picked. I'm the one that America likes. But I also believe that he had some very difficult conversations with the Biden administration about, the next steps, both in Gaza and in Lebanon against Hezbollah and against Iran. And I think he, hit them with, we want to go in full scale into southern Lebanon, and the United States said we won't support that. So he came back to what I think his forces really were, because the Israeli Defense Force is not in favor of full-scale invasion of southern Lebanon either. They know that the Israeli Defense Force can't do it, that they're exhausted, they're running out of equipment, spare parts, ammunition, morale is low. But what they can do is assassinate people. They're very good at that. And
very good.
I think Netanyahu put that on the table in the United States when, if you have to do something, then this is what we would back. But understand that it will lead to escalation. We will be there to defend you, but we won't participate in any, extended offensive operations. You're on your own when it comes to that. And Netanyahu took that response and said, "I'll run with that." And he ordered the hits, and here we are.
That's an interesting point that you bring up, that a part of him coming over here was for self-preservation. I think it's important to note that prior to October 7th, Netanyahu was, the subject of a criminal investigation, and he was, going through a corruption, I think maybe some bribery charges, etc. And, he's highly unliked in Israel. But this event, kind of united both the left and the right, and it's kind of kept him almost in indefinite power. And for him, it's like, well, if he stops the conflict, he's more than likely going to have to, resign power to someone else or whatever, and that would obviously hurt his ability to it would hurt because he'd go to jail. I mean, so that's another good point that you mentioned. Him coming to America also is from a self-preservation standpoint.
100%. That's literally the reason for it. If you look at Israel, there was riots happening there almost on a daily basis with significant numbers. There was like cars being burnt alive. Cars being burnt. There was people being attacked. There was many people who didn't want to be, join the army. So that was happening almost on a daily basis. And what was worse for Netanyahu was the opposition were speaking about this quite a lot, were part of it. Some of his own cabinet were, and many of the hostages' families were as well. So you basically got all of this happening. So essentially, him coming to the US was actually, from a political perspective, quite a big win, because he comes to the US, he kind of reframes the perspective people have of him, because the whole world was basically seeing this guy as some evil, demonic guy. He has all the applause. Then outside, you have the protests. People start burning the American flag, which is perfect for him. I believe those were, agitators or someone from the other side doing it intentionally, but whatever it may be, because, if you look at them, none of them were, basically Palestinian looking or Muslim looking or whatever it may be. So, again, it seems like it could be highly likely that it was somebody from the Israeli side from the Zionist side to basically cause that. Because then what happened was the entire right focused in on the flag burning, and that essentially garnered him support from the right of America.
Yeah.
And so now he has the confidence of the right. And what happens is the Israeli community sees that he's actually been applauded a lot. He's coming across quite well. That brings confidence to them. So what that does is that gives him strength to continue on this genocide. And then obviously the whole aim of this entire thing was, I think we mentioned on our October 7th episode, was that once the genocide is over, once the entire conflict is over, then Netanyahu will be the fall guy. And that's why they've got these little points in place to say that, look, he knew about what was going to happen. He created Hamas. All of these things are there in place to say, look, you're the fall guy. You were the cause of this. You're going to go to jail. You're going to go for bribery charges anyway. Maybe he might escape to US or might escape somewhere else, but he will go down.
Yeah, I mean, using false flags and, the Mossad's, what is it? By deception, we create war, is the old Mossad motto before they changed it. I mean, that's not something I would put past them. And then the other thing, too, which I think is very interesting, the bombing in the Golan Heights. You guys heard about that, right, with the Jews? Yeah. I think 11 or 12 children were killed. 12. And, people try to, Netanyahu said, oh, well, and then the day after, they bombed Lebanon. They used that as a justification to bomb and kill the Hezbollah guys by saying, oh, well, there was a bombing in the Golan Heights. You killed 11 or 12 Israelis. But I did some research and I found out, well, hold on. All these kids are Arabs. They're all Syrians. If you look at their names, they're all Arabs. And I spoke with some people and they were telling me, well, in that area, it's Israeli territory technically, but it is also Syrian, and a lot of the people there don't even hold Israeli passports outside of the settlers. And then I also saw some footage where Israeli politicians tried to come in for the funeral service and they kicked them out.
Yeah,
the Syrian Arabs kicked them out, and they said, "Hey, get out of here. This isn't a photo op for you, whatever it may be." And then Netanyahu turned around and used that and said, "Oh, Hezbollah went ahead and bombed and killed these kids. We're going to retaliate. But I heard some, and I'd love to get your guys' take on this. I heard some information that came out that shows that the bomb that actually killed those children was from the defense dome, a faulty missile from the Iron Dome that fell and killed them. Did you guys hear reports of that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll pass it off to Scott as well because he'll have more details about the type of what was used.
That's what they
from
claim,
that yeah. But this, what you're saying, is exactly what the reporting shows, that there was an interceptor from the Israeli, the Iron Dome, from defense that hit. And just think about it logically. Like, these people don't want to be Israeli. They're from the Druze community, as you said. They consider themselves not to be Israeli. They've rejected Israeli passports. From a logical perspective, why would Hezbollah want to bomb them? It makes no sense whatsoever, except that it was an accident and likely from the Israeli side. So that's quite clear. So they only use this in order to make a claim that they needed an excuse, and that was the excuse to bomb, as you said, Beirut, and also then later kill Ismail Haniyeh. So I agree with that, but I would like to hear from...
Yeah, go ahead, Scott. What's your thoughts on that? Did you hear about that reporting?
Yeah, first of all, I would say that it's, in my opinion, definitely not a deliberate attack by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a very professional organization. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't have equipment malfunctions or they can't, make, human error. But this, the idea that Hezbollah deliberately targeted these children in a soccer field is absurd in the extreme. It's also, from my opinion, rather absurd to say that Hezbollah fired this rocket to begin with. Hezbollah hasn't taken responsibility for this. Iran has provided long-range rockets not only to Hezbollah, but also to various militias in Iraq and in Syria. These militias have carried out their own attacks against Israel. And it's, to me, very likely that this missile was fired. It's an Iranian, the debris that was found, or the Israelis claim to have found, that this missile was fired from Iraq, was intercepted by Israel and brought down in the field, or even more nefarious, that no missile was fired, or a missile was fired and the Iron Dome rocket malfunction, hit the soccer field. The Israelis came in and planted, the shrapnel from this from an Iranian missile and said, "Look, it's Iran." But the bottom line is that Israel knows this was not a deliberate act. I actually believe that this was probably a setup by Israel to provide an excuse for carrying out their assassination in Beirut. Beirut was a red line. Hassan Nasrallah has repeatedly said that if Israel were to attack Beirut, that is a red line that would unleash hell on Israel from Hezbollah. And so this isn't something that Israel did lightly. This was something that Israel knew was going to be extraordinarily provocative. And so in order to, cover this action, everything about this tragedy in the soccer field, it reeks of setup. It reeks of a false flag by Israel. It doesn't reek of a actual Hezbollah attack. It's not Hezbollah's, MO. And, and as Hezbollah said, we take credit for our mistakes, and they do. Hezbollah will say, we made a mistake. Hezbollah saying, we had nothing to do with this. And so it tells me that the Israelis set this up to provide, because again, remember, everything is linked. You have Netanyahu going to the United States, talking in Washington, D.C., saying, these are the options we want, getting America to green light targeted assassinations. But now you have the political issue of, if you just go straight into Beirut without any justification, you automatically provoke a Hezbollah response that'll be difficult to defend yourself against. But now, when you say, look, Hezbollah killed these children, we simply killed the man responsible for killing these children, you muddy the water, so to speak. And I think that's what Israel's been doing here.
Yeah, and I have a post here on Twitter, actually. I can show it real fast. This is from one of my buddies, Truth Teller. So it goes here. Israel hit on Majd al-Shams in Golan, up to 14 dead, 40 injured. Eyewitnesses confirmed the projectile that fell was from Israel's Iron Dome, its main air defense system. An Israeli ambulance member heard from eyewitnesses that an interception missile was what fell in Majd al-Shams in the illegally occupied Golan Heights. It is likely the missile was launched from Mount Hermon and fell towards the stadium. The Jewish Radials, was that it? Radical, sorry, I can't see from here. Responsible for this mass murder should be held accountable, and then instead Israel is trying to blame Hezbollah for the attack, another false flag, which isn't uncommon in And then we also, even the New York Times, I think, reported this. And obviously you can see the deceased children there, which is graphic. This is the bombing. What else we got? And then we got here, international law states that the Golan Heights are Syrian territory illegally occupied then colonized by Israel, which is why they're trying to pass out these Israeli citizenships to some of the people that live there. But most of the Syrians don't take it outside of the settlers because it's kind of like a scarlet letter. And then if you could go back to that post, Bills, and look at some of the comments, scroll through and keep going. Keep going. Let's see here. Because even the New York Times reported that this was more than likely an Israeli missile. I don't know where the hell it went, though. Oh, there you go. Washington Post. Boom. Can you pull that up, Rafa? Yeah. So, boom. It says here, Israel hits targets in Lebanon, and then it goes into how this all was precipitated by that attack in the Golan Heights, which again, yeah, Netanyahu used that as a excuse to justify sending a missile. What I've noticed also is like, it's not about being accurate for them; it's about being accurate long enough. I don't know if you guys have caught. Like, I'd love to get your guys' take on this with Israel. It's like they'll say, okay, 40 beheaded babies in ovens. They came in and raped our women in the kibbutz. They did X, Y, Z, all this other stuff, right? They're horrible, atrocious acts, right? And then there's an independent investigation done by the UN, and they find, well, we haven't been able to find evidence of mass rapes, right? Well, can you make the surveillance footage available to us that from the kibbutzes? They haven't made it available. The International Committee is asking all these questions. No one's been able to do an independent investigation on the side. Israel isn't allowing them. And it's like, they use that, right, to kind of just, okay, now we're going into Gaza, we're going to level that place, right? And everyone's like, yeah, go ahead, yeah, woo. And they were able to get in off of that outrage. Yeah. And then now, as the facts are coming out, that, hey, only one baby was killed, where the no evidence of the 40 beheaded babies that they claim, babies in ovens, all this other stuff that they claim. Like, that stuff isn't coming to light. And then you find out that a lot of the Israelis that were killed on that day were killed by the IDF. They were killed because of the way they were killed, being scorched and everything else like that. These weapons are not weapons that Hamas even has capability to use. They don't even have access to this stuff. But the damage is done. They were able to get into Gaza and do what they needed to do. So they just needed to put it out there for a bit, create some outrage, justification, boom, get in and do what they got to do. And then by the time you wake up and realize, wait, this wasn't true, boom, half of Gaza was already gone. I don't know. So
I mean, you're right in terms of, everything you said is right. We know that all that was fake news and propaganda. But I find the Israeli strategy to be uniquely, I would say, perverse. Because in reality, most people do what you said. When they perpetuate fake propaganda, they'll blitz it for a day or two, for a few days. You saw how the UK riots were started. It was a blitz of fake propaganda for a day or two. And then you allow the subsequent domino effect to occur. What the Israelis do, which is kind of mental, which nobody else does, is they'll do that blitz of fake propaganda. It'll get debunked. And then they'll wait about a month or two and they'll come out with the same thing again. So they don't even try and be like, let's stay quiet now, we've done our propaganda. They'll like reiterate the same point. So if you look right now, Donald Trump, like in a speech recently, was still trying to claim that there were like babies that had been killed, that there was still mass rape. There was a number of politicians still claiming that till this day.
People are still saying it to this day, which is crazy.
So for them, it's like they'll lie and then they'll allow the public they'll allow the debunking to happen, and then for the public to forget, and then they'll restate it again.
Yeah.
So I think they strategy.
There were definitely atrocities that happened on October 7th. No one's denying that. I want to be very clear. However, the level to which they sold it is wild. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure. It depends what atrocities. Like we did this show on October the 7th.
Yeah,
on October 5.5 hours, you need to have evidence of like some kind of atrocities. Was there innocent civilians killed? Yes, there was.
That's what I mean.
Was they killed with intention? Likely. There is about 4 or 5 videos that do seem to suggest that was the case.
Yeah.
Anything more than that, we need evidence for. There is one incident that maybe...
Well, they haven't made that video available to everyone, too.
Yeah, they
It's very difficult to find them.
Well, according to a lot of reporters, like what we have now, 80% of that video, that...
The 47-minute video
we've seen
only certain people have been able to see?
We've all seen that anyway. So,
have you seen it, Scott?
80% of it, sorry.
I haven't seen the whole thing, no.
Yeah, you haven't seen it? Okay, yeah.
But if you look at it, what we've seen, there doesn't seem to be anything that you could mark as an atrocity. Now, there is claims that in the 47-minute video, the one clip that we haven't seen is that apparently that what happens is a father jumps into like a safe room with his child and then they throw an explosive in there. Now, if that's true, that would be something that is obviously horrific, unacceptable, and that would be an example of one atrocity. But none of us have seen that one.
Gotcha. You haven't seen it. All right. So we went over kind of what got us here, right? The history between Iran and Israel. And we talked about Lebanon, etc. What do you guys predict is going to happen next? Obviously, the markets are tumbling. You can look at like military stocks like Lockheed Martin are fucking soaring. And like, the crypto's going down, everything else like that, but all the military stocks are going up and the defense contractors. So, I mean, what do you predict? I'll turn it to you, Scott. Obviously take your time and go as much detail as you want when there comes to capability between the both countries, U.S. response. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to point out that with the exception of Israel, nobody's been leaning forward for a direct confrontation between Israel and Iran. And in the case of Israel, it's heavily caveated in that Israel doesn't want to engage Iran unless the United States is wholeheartedly behind it. So this is a war that actually people have been trying to avoid. And we saw the extent to which people would go, nations would go to avoid direct confrontation, decisive confrontation back in April in the aftermath of the Israeli assassination of IRGC people in Damascus. They blew up an Iranian consulate building. Iran
Which is wild, by the
responded.
way. That's like a straight. That's like wow. That's like a direct declaration of war. Like you bombed an embassy in a foreign country and killed what was it? A couple of IRGs. How many? 3 guys, high ranking.
There was 3 or 4.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Okay.
3 high ranking, but several others who were pretty good at their job. Killed knowledgeable people. I mean, it's an act of war. And Iran's basically said this is an act. And remember, Iran's been taking the chin prior to that. Israel was assassinating scientists, bombing targets here, bombing targets there. But this was an attack on Iranian soil. An embassy or consulate building is Iranian soil. So they had to respond. But even then, Iran responded in a very measured way, a demonstration, so to speak. A lot of sound and flash and very little fury. At the end, they got their 9 missiles in that hit the targets they needed to hit to make the point that they could hit them. But then the incident ended. But Iran let it be known at that point in time that if Israel or the United States were to strike Iran proper, that the retaliation would be automatic and it would be massive, much bigger than what we saw in April. So now we have a situation where Israel has struck Tehran, the capital, in a very humiliating fashion, in a very decisive manner. Iran has no choice but to respond. I think that's the important. If Iran fails to respond in a manner that that meets the standard they themselves have set, then they've lost all deterrence value of this ballistic missile force and its military posturing. And they're basically saying that Israel can do whatever Israel wants to do anytime, anywhere. And that's not a strategic position the new president of Iran wants to be in. And so Iran has no choice but to respond, but they're being careful. They're building up relationships. We have General Shoigu, Marshal Shoigu, the former Minister of Defense, now on the Security Council. In Iran, we have a large number of Russian transport aircrafts bringing in military equipment, electronic warfare equipment, anti-surface-to-air missile equipment, maybe some other equipment to help Iran defend strategic locations. So I think Iran is making sure that before they initiate whatever action they're going to initiate, and I do believe they're going to hit Israel very, very hard with a sustained attack that will result in tremendous damage to Israel. But Iran has to be prepared for the Israeli counterstrike. And then, of course, if Israel strikes, depending on what they strike, Iran has to be prepared to retaliate. And we now are looking at a general exchange war. What happens to Hezbollah? Do they sit on the sidelines? What happens to Ansarallah? What happens to other militias? This thing has the potential of spinning out of control and becoming a regional conflict that can draw in global actors, Russia, the United States, etc. But I don't want to speak on behalf of the Iranian government. It's always risky to do. They're a sovereign nation that, of course, will do what's in their sovereign, best interests. But having said that, any strike against Iran will result in an automatic retaliation that will be on a scope and scale much greater than what took place in April. I think Iran has to follow through and do that. They're going to do it carefully, on a timeline of their choosing, using the weapons they choose, hitting the targets they want to hit, but it's going to happen.
So go ahead, Sulaiman.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm just going to ask a
after.
question. Because obviously we all know Iran has to retaliate. We all know there needs to be a quite significant retaliation, a lot more significant and ferocious than the drone.
Than the one in April, yeah.
That's right. But I guess, Scott, my question to you is, because this is your expertise, if you were to put your Iran hat on, what would be the method of direct attack that you would do in this
Good question.
situation?
That's what I was going to ask.
All right,
yeah,
sorry.
that's actually what I was going to ask.
Well, what I would do is flood the system with a synchronized attack. The April attack came in waves, and basically it was the early parts of the attacks were telegraphed, saying, okay, here we come with the drones, and the drones came in, they were shot down, but every time they shot it down, the Israel and their Western allies are expending a very expensive ammunition, and they're giving away capabilities. Iran's just collecting all this intelligence. Now they come in with the cruise missiles, same thing. They come in with the older ballistic missiles, same thing. They're collecting all this intelligence data, and then they come in with their good stuff, and it gets through, and they hit the targets. I think what we're going to see here is that they're going to flood the zone with everything they have, and it's going to come in a very synchronized attack, so everything arrives at once, and the Israeli and American air defense systems will be saturated, and the vast majority of the Iranian weapons that will be launched will get through, and they're going to take out the targets that they're intended. And I think they're going to go after significant targets, significant economic targets. I think the port of Haifa is very much at risk. I think they're going to be hitting a lot of the missile defense locations to strip the defense, and they may hit a couple political targets, because remember, this was a political assassination, and so Iran has a green light to go after like targets, and I think that this is going to be a very massive attack, but it's going to be synchronized so that all of these weapon systems will arrive at the same time, including the new hypersonic missiles with the maneuvering warheads that Israel hasn't seen yet. And I think the effects will be devastating.
Can you explain this hypersonic missile? Because I've seen you describe it before on another podcast, Scott, and I thought, I was like, holy crap, like this is fucking crazy technology. Can you describe how this missile works specifically so the audience can understand this hypersonic missile?
Sure. I mean, first of all, understand that when Israel builds this, Israel has a layered air defense system that includes capabilities of its own manufacture, or what they jointly manufactured, the Iron Dome. Let's take the Iron Dome out for a second. It's not designed to go after these large missiles, these more capable. It's designed to go after Katyushka rockets, the bottle rockets coming out of Gaza, things of that nature, low tech solutions. So let's push that aside, because the Iron Dome is not going to be a factor here. Maybe against slow flying drones if they get through, but you get the Israeli systems, the David Sling or the Arrow 3 systems. You get the American systems, the THAAD, which is deployed there. We have our naval vessels around there. We've interlocked the Aegis radars and the SM-3, SM-6 missiles on board. These all create a very sophisticated, integrated, layered air defense that is designed to take on specific targets. Ballistic missiles fly a ballistic trajectory, a standard. You fly it up in the air and let the Earth's gravitation and gravitational law take over. It's a predictable flight. And so these radars are going to track it. They're going to identify where it's going to hit. They're going to prioritize targets, hand it off to a system that's going to intercept it. What a hypersonic missile does? Well, first of all, let's talk about the ballistic missiles, because the Iranians showed some sophistication here. Unlike the Scud missiles that were fired during the Gulf War, where the entire missile flies in and hits the ground unless it breaks up in the air, and that's a whole different issue. Here, the Iranians had separating warheads. So as the missile comes in, the warhead separates, and so now the radar's looking at a big target and a smaller target. Now the Iranians have done things with these warheads. They have warheads that then shoot out decoys, so it's multiple warheads. So they fire out a half a dozen decoys that catches the attention of everything, while the regular warheads hold off in the back and then accelerate themselves. So the warheads that will have a booster charge on it will allow it to accelerate with a guidance system that allows it to guide in and hit. We saw evidence of that being used. So even with a ballistic missile, these separating warheads, these maneuvering warheads, these decoys confuse the Israelis. The Iranians are going to be flooding again the system with these decoys, with these separating warheads, etc. The hypersonic, however, isn't going to fly your ballistic trajectory. It's going to come in, it's going to basically take off and then go flat and go high speed in. So the radar's not going to track it. It's coming in a different flight pattern, and then it's going to maneuver. It's going to make its own maneuvers, and then it's going to separate the warhead, which will maneuver even further. You can't intercept it. It's coming in faster than the Israelis are used to. So if you have satellites in Iran that are detecting launches, normally you have a launch window or a window of time to prepare for that missile to come in. With the hypersonic, it screws up your entire algorithm, your entire calculation, because you're going to see a flash. You're expecting maybe a 16-minute time of flight, and it's going to arrive in 6. And it's very precise. It's going to hit the targets you want. So I think you're going to see the hypersonics doing two things. One, paving the way to take out critical air defense nodes, radars, et cetera, communications, which further blind the system while it's being overwhelmed. And then to finish the job, you're going to see another wave of hypersonics coming on the tail end when the whole system is just screwed up to hit the big targets that it wants to hit. It's a game changer. If Iran has these weapons and they claim to have them, and they deploy them, and they said they will deploy them, it's a game-changing technology that neither Israel nor the United States is prepared to deal with.
Wow. Holy crap. And this is just Iran. We haven't even talked about Hezbollah. Do you think Hezbollah is going to join in this coordinated attack to weaken the Iron Dome's capabilities to allow more missiles to come through?
I believe Hezbollah will. I think this is the big show. This is it. I think Ansarallah will come in. I think the Axis of Resistance will come in. I think that Israel picked the wrong fight. And this is a fight for the existential survival of Israel. And there's a good chance Israel, as we know it, is not going to emerge from this fight.
Wow. All right. Well, holy shit. Sky, I know you're on limited time, man. So did you have anything, Sulaiman, before we let him go?
Just one question I had, and then I'll make my own comments when
Sure.
Scott goes, because we've only got him for a limited amount of time. Scott, I had Greg Stoker on, who is I'd see him as like the younger version of you, and again, he's a military expert, and and I think it's really good for your audience to hear this.
Sure.
If you can explain to the audience in terms of when you look at the engagement between Hezbollah and Israel on the ground, the argument he made was that in that specific battle that's occurring on the ground, not on the ground, but basically in that region, Hezbollah is significantly hurting Israel to the extent where they've moved them back a significant amount. They've basically hit the military bases and made them disband. They've made the settlements disband. Is that how you see it, or what's your thoughts on that specific area, the conflict that's happening between Hezbollah and Israel?
Yeah, first of all, we need to understand that Hezbollah has been waging a managed escalation with Israel on its on Israel's northern border with Lebanon, and everything that Hezbollah has done is done to achieve a purpose. It's very carefully planned, etc. They have been stripping away Israel's defensive capabilities in the north. They've been taking out billions of dollars worth of intelligence collection capabilities that Israel had installed. These are being dismantled. The bases that Israel was operating out of have been struck, compelling Israel to abandon the bases, pull further back. And settlements in the north have been hit and put at risk. And so Israel's had to evacuate tens of thousands of Israeli civilians from the region. And this has worn the Israelis down. They've lost significant armor vehicles and numbers. They're losing manpower, but more importantly, it's wore the Israelis down from a physical and moral standpoint. The morale of the Israeli troops is very low right now. The Hezbollah continues to reveal new technologies, new weapon systems that the Israelis haven't anticipated. And it's led the Israelis to realize that if there's going to be a major conflict with Hezbollah, Israel's not ready for the fight, because Israel's been preparing for a fight that has Israel projecting power into southern Lebanon in an effort to push Hezbollah back north of the Litani River, which is a river in southern Lebanon, sort of a major geographic boundary that Israel wants everything south of the Litani to be demilitarized. Hezbollah's not playing that game. Hezbollah is going to play a different game. They're going to take the fight to Israel. If there is a major war between Hezbollah and Israel, you can expect that the majority of the fighting is going to be taking place in Israeli towns, Israeli villages that are going to be captured by Hezbollah. That Hezbollah will pour tens of thousands of troops into these urban zones, seizing them and compelling the Israelis to level their own villages, level their own towns, destroy Israel to protect it. That's the Hezbollah plan. And Hezbollah is fully capable of implementing this plan. There's not anything Israel can do to prevent it, which is why the Israeli Defense Force is telling Netanyahu, we don't want a large-scale war with Hezbollah.
Wow. Shit.
I had one more question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Scott,
No, I mean, again, Scott's one of the best, man. So go ahead, Sulaiman.
Yeah,
please.
because he's a military expert.
Yeah.
Scott, one other question. Jordan just today came out and said that they will not allow the US, the UK, or Iran, or Israel, to all four of those countries to use their airspace. Now, to me, that seems like basically saying, Iran, when you send your attack, it's going to go over our airspace. That means we're going to have to stop it. But also, and this kind of placates the kind of sentiment against the Arab countries. Is that how you see it? And then if you do see it like that, what is the alternative that Iran can use? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, first of all, understand, let's go back to April, where the United States, the United Kingdom, and Israel, together with Jordan, used Jordanian airspace as a buffer to absorb the Iranian attack. And so our aircraft were flying over Jordan, shooting down Iranian missiles, working in concert with the Jordanian Air Force and Jordanian air defense systems. What Jordan is saying is that option is not available because Jordan took a lot of heat internally. There's a large Palestinian population in Jordan. And the king understands that being seen as defending Israel, working with Israel in concert against the Palestinian people is not a politically wise move. So what he said is that you're not going to be able to use Jordan as a buffer zone. The Jordanian Air Force is not capable in and of itself to decisively interdict the Iranian attack. I think they'll shoot down a handful of drones, but as I said, the Iranians will be synchronizing this so that it's going to be overwhelming. There's not anything Jordan can do about it. But I think basically Jordan, this is to the benefit of Iran. If in fact Jordan is able to see this through, and I'm sure a lot of pressure will be put on Jordan to get them to reverse. This is advantage Iran because now the significant number of systems that were shot down by Israel, Jordan, the United States, Great Britain in April over Jordanian airspace means that they're going to be able to close in on Israel, and it's just going to make things all the more complicated.
But will Iran be able to use Jordanian airspace? Or will they be allowed to use, will their missiles be able to go over Jordanian airspace? That's the bit that's the question I have. That bit, what you said.
There's nothing Jordan can do can stop them. The drones, if the drones are fired, Jordan will be able to shoot down a handful of these drones. But again, the Jordanian ability to detect and intercept is going to be swamped by the quantity of systems coming in at the same time. This isn't going to be wave after wave. This is going to be everything coming in at once. And it'll be going over Jordanian airspace, and there's nothing Jordan can do to stop it.
Gotcha. Versus before, it was like a deliberate, okay, wave one, okay, wave two, kind of to just see what Israel has and, like you said before, understand their capabilities, a great intelligence gathering process. But now you're saying they're just going to flood the airspace, and Jordan will be able to shoot some down, but not all. Well, that leads me to, and I'll get my last question here, Scott. I'm sorry for holding you. I know we said
no, it's okay.
We only have you for like an hour, but we're obviously great information here. Chat, make sure to like the goddamn video and check out Scott Scott. You got a Rumble channel, right?
I guess, yeah. I have a podcast that we put out on Rumble and other things. They closed me down on YouTube, so I can't.
So annoying. Make sure to check him out, guys. You did a fantastic couple of pieces on Zelensky, which I'm going to bring you back to because I want to talk Russia-Ukraine as well in the future because, I mean, there's been a lot of updates on that and people have kind of forgot about it, but I think it's still a very important conflict to keep track of. But what I was going to say was, so we talked about Iran's capabilities. We talked about Hezbollah's capabilities. We talked about what led to this conflict that we're currently experiencing, and we know that an attack by Iran is pretty much inevitable and imminent at this point. What do you think the American response is going to be to this situation? I mean, things look pretty dire from what you described for Israel. How do you think we're going to come into this, and how much is the United States going to be involved in this conflict?
Well, again, let's just back up a little bit to understand why I'm going to say what I'm going to say. In early 2020, Donald Trump, when he was president, ordered the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, a very senior Iranian military and political figure, and who was on a diplomatic mission of peace, ironically, not of war. And he was murdered by American forces in Baghdad. The Iranians retaliated. They sent more than 10 ballistic missiles against the Al-Assad air base in Iraq, and they also fired some missiles up towards Erbil, American facilities and Israeli facilities in Erbil. But it's the Al-Assad attack that caught the attention because the Iranians gave a heads up. They told the Iraqis, we're coming in, this is a target we're going to hit. And the Iraqis were able to tell the Americans, and the Americans were able to get much of the forces evacuated from al-Assad and the rest of the forces put into bunkers. The Iranians hit exactly what they wanted to hit, pinpoint precision, devastating attack on the base. And Iran sent a signal to the United States that if the United States retaliates for this strike, that they will do the same thing to every single American base in the region. And the United States realized that there was nothing we could do to stop them from doing this. So we didn't do a damn thing. So the Iranians established some sort of strategic deterrence over the United States when it comes to direct American military engagement against Iran. And this lasted. If you go back to April again, when Israel said we have to retaliate, the United States said we're not going to participate. We'll defend you, but we're not going to be involved in the attacks. And when the Iranians put pressure on regional Gulf neighbors such as Qatar and others to say you can't let the Americans use your bases, the United States had no choice when told by their host nations you can't use American aircraft from these bases in support of this operation. They had to obey. And so the United States right now is able to deploy a limited number of assets regionally to defend Israel. But the offensive strike capacity the United States has, especially in Kuwait and Qatar, it is neutralized because the Iranians have said if you get involved in attacking us, we'll take out the base, and the base in Qatar would be annihilated. It cannot be defended. The same thing with bases in Kuwait and anywhere else we might operate in Bahrain. And so the United States is sort of powerless here. We can defend Israel, and we will defend Israel. We put 4,000 to 5,000 Marines on an amphibious ready group there. Those troops are meaningless. I love the Marines. I used to be a Marine. They're very good, but 5,000 of them is just not enough to do anything other than evacuate civilians. So if we need to evacuate Americans, for instance, from Beirut or from somewhere else, these Marines can do that. But the idea that 5,000 Marines are going to be put ashore to close with to destroy Hezbollah through firepower maneuver, it's absurd. Not enough, not sustainable. So the United States really is not in a position to do anything of significance in this fight. And this is what Biden told Netanyahu: we will not be with you if you strike Iran. If you go after Iran, you're on your own, including any consequences thereof. We will defend you, but we're not going to participate in the attack. And every Israeli exercise that, trained up for a potential conflict with Iran, they ran two major ones, one in 2021, one in early 2022. I think 2022, I'm sorry, in 2023. The one in 2023 was called Chariots of Fire. The United States played a heavy role in these exercises because these exercises talked about attacking Iranian nuclear infrastructure, and they need American tankers and they need American aircraft to do this. And even then, in the exercise, it failed. What the United States is telling Israel right now is, you won't get any of this support from us. We're not going to refuel your airplanes. We're not going to provide electronic warfare cover, combat air patrol. Whatever you thought we were going to do, we're not going to do. You're on your own. And Israel realizes that if they don't have the United States, it severely limits their options when it comes to projecting military power into Iran.
Wow. Very interesting stuff, because I know Douglas McGregor had put it out on Twitter that's 4,000 to 5,000, just like you said, U.S. troops were sent over to the Middle East, presumably Israel. But you're saying that's going to be more from a defensive standpoint, not necessarily an offensive standpoint. And so we'll help them with shooting missiles down, protecting Tel Aviv, etc., infrastructure. But America is not going to get involved in any type of offensive front because of the consequence that might come with our bases being bombed as a result of that. Correct?
Yeah, just again, another little war story.
Please, go ahead.
The Iranians shot down a Global Hawk, which is one of America's strategic drones over the Strait of Hormuz, I think 2019. And President Trump wanted to retaliate and bomb sites inside Iran. The Pentagon briefed him on saying that if you do that, then Iran will counter strike and bomb our sites in the region, and then we will end up in a war that we can't win. We don't have the forces there. And if you want us to be able to meaningfully project power into Iran, it's going to take us 9 months, maybe up to 2 years to build up the military force necessary. We're talking hundreds of thousands of American troops. And even then, to project them into the region is going to be very difficult. It's just going to be a sustained war that's going to take every resource we have, and there's no guarantee of victory.
And no country would host us to do that, right? Like, I don't see any of these Gulf countries. Like, I mean, Saudi Arabia is very iffy about letting us, have bases there. Like, which country would actually allow us to put that many American soldiers in their space?
Well, again, I participated in Desert Storm when we had permissive airfields and permissive port facilities in Saudi Arabia where we could put the troops in. We did it, without the intervention of the Iraqis. Even if somebody was to say, hey, you can use our port facility, understand you're on the wrong side of the Persian Gulf, so you're deploying American troops on the wrong side of the Gulf. Your ports are going to be hit by Iranian missiles. Ships are going to be sunk. The Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed. So we're not talking about deploying our troops into friendly countries. We're talking about classic amphibious operation, putting forces ashore in a hostile territory in Iran, seizing Chabahar, Bandar Abbas in a major amphibious operation. And we don't have the resources today to do it. That's the statement of reality. The United States can't do it anymore. We spend nearly $1 trillion a year building a military that can't do the things that traditionally we assume our military can do. So, that's the reality. We can't go to war against Iran today. We don't have the military capability to do it. And I think the Israelis are waking up to that reality.
Shit. Wow. You have anything else, though?
No.
Scott, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know this is very late for you. So, guys, go make sure to check out Scott Ritter. As you guys can see, this is why I love having him on the show. Scott, we'll bring you back to talk about Russia, Ukraine. I know time is limited today. But thank you so much for giving us your professional military analysis. One of the best in the game. Where can the people find you, bro?
The best place to find me is on scottritter.com, one-stop shop. You can get access to videos, my Substack, everything's right there.
Guys, please go support Scott Ritter. We're going to be bringing him on more often, to discuss, geopolitical events and military strategy. One of the best in the game. Thank you so much, Scott, for coming on. And we'll catch you on the next one, brother.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Thank you, Scott. We can go back to YouTube now, and we'll go into, what do you want to hit next, Sulaiman?
Just to explain my point on this.
Yeah, sure. Please, we can go back to YouTube.
I mean, I agree with Scott, what he said is in terms of the attack, like Iran is going to have to do a significant attack. It's going to be potent. It's going to be a significant wave of attack. Now, what's going to happen is, I remember the previous attack in April, remember the Israelis gave you this fake propaganda. They told you that the Iron Dome intercepts 95% of missiles. We always knew that was a lie. For example, when they had the conflict with Iraq, when Saddam sent his missiles, they claimed at that time they'd intercepted 95%. Later, you know what we found out?
What?
That they'd only intercepted 5%.
Really?
Exactly. So that was then. And obviously, there's going to be improvements in their
Of
defense
course.
capability and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
the Iron Dome is a lot better now.
So this time they claimed again that they'd intercepted 95%. Once again, we had reports that actually the reality was about 70%. Iran hit a number of military bases that actually got through, for example, Air Base and a few other air bases. Now, why that's interesting is what that showed is two things. It showed that the capability that they can get in, even with these drones and these missiles that they were sending, which was a way of testing and getting information. As he said, the real reason was to send different types of weaponry, different types of missiles to see how the American-Israeli response is going to be. So even then, they got like 30%, 35% through, right? Now, why people think it was a failure is because they didn't hear about any casualties. Because the American-Israeli mind, or the Western-Israeli mind, has basically made people believe that the only time your attack is successful is when there's casualties, when you've killed people. But the Iranians, basically, what that showed is like kind of their humanity, that they didn't go for like populated areas, they went for military bases, and they actually destroyed those military bases. So if that was the case then imagine now that they're going to use a lot more potent weapons, what's going to happen? And then this time, you've basically got Hezbollah. There's no way Hezbollah is not going to join in. So Hezbollah is going to be from a much more closer range, attacking them with missiles. And then you've got the Yemeni Houthis attacking them with missiles. Yeah. It's going to be very, very, very difficult for them to basically stop that. It'll be near impossible. And so that's what, when they went for and killed Ismail Haniyeh in Iran, they've basically caused the whole axis and forced them all to respond in one go.
Yeah, to unite, yeah.
They've always been united, but what they've done is like Iran's kind of stayed out of it. They've let Hezbollah respond, or they've stayed out of it. They let the Houthis respond. And if this is a coordinated response, it's going to be too much for Israel.
Yeah. I mean, they could barely hold off the missiles just from Iran by itself. Can you imagine the other two now getting involved? And it's crazy and it's scary to see what's going on and where we might go. And then obviously, the United States is. Hopefully, I'm just saying, I hope we don't get dragged into this, because then now we didn't even talk about Russia getting involved or China to support Iran if America goes ahead and decides to take like an offensive. So that's wild. And then another thing too, from the April attack that you mentioned, I heard reports from suppressed news on Twitter saying that around 40 IDF soldiers were actually killed. But it wasn't put out there. And the reason why he knows is because he looked at hospital records from like Tel Aviv or whatever that reported like a bunch of casualties and deaths. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think it was widely reported for obvious reasons. But, I think the strategy, they were able to go ahead and get what they wanted out of that attack back in April, which was to see capabilities, et cetera. And everyone's preparing. I mean, Shin Bet has pretty much pushed... for those that are wondering, Shin Bet is Israel's. Think of them as an FBI and a Secret Service in one. They're their domestic law enforcement agency that also collects intelligence and does protection for their political leaders. So Shin Bet has bunkers, and a lot of the Israeli brass is there right now for the next couple of days. So, and then also I saw reports where pictures of parking lots being turned into hospitals. With beds and everything else like that prepared. So, I mean, something imminent is coming in the next few days.
Well, a lot of foreign nations are also saying that they've been told by Iran that a response is coming.
Yeah.
Now, again, this could be Iran kind of psychological warfare as well, to an
extent.
Yeah. But then, it does. I mean, look, it's impossible they can't respond. If they do, everyone's going to see Iran as weak. Yeah. Everyone's going to see them as a paper tiger. It was all talk, no walk. It's impossible that they don't respond.
Yeah, they absolutely. I mean, that's to have a foreign dignitary killed in your capital when he was there on official business to see a presidential inauguration is very bad. That just looks horrible for them.
While he's one of the heads of one of your axes. Remember, we hear about this axis
You're right,
of resistance, so it's huge.
Yeah, that's incredibly embarrassing for them. So. They have to respond at this point. And the crazy part is that he was like the main negotiator. Like, what's Israel going to do now with the hostages? By eliminating him.
Yeah. They don't want the hostages. Don't care about them. Obviously, there'll be somebody else who negotiates on his behalf. But the thing is, it's kind of like a kind of psychological impression that they're given that the negotiator they killed. So if you look at it from a metaphorical perspective or an allegorical perspective, they're basically saying that we murdered the negotiation. So that's like another way of looking at it.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I don't think they were trying to do that. But in reality,
That's the message it sends.
Yeah. They've never cared about the negotiations. They've never cared about the hostages. When Netanyahu was in Congress getting all of his applause, a hostage family member, I believe it was the mother, came in and they arrested her. So that shows you the level of psychology where the hostages are just, they don't care about them. They don't care about their families. This is just a game for them.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. This is wild stuff. I mean, there's no doubt that Israel obviously struck a military win by being able to eliminate these adversaries in such a short period of time and so quickly. But there's going to be consequences to it. You know, with the big win, you're going to have to be able to defend that win because you pissed off a bunch of adversarial countries. So I guess anything else before we switch on over to the UK?
No, that's it.
All right, cool. So guys, we're going to switch on over to the next story, which I think I enjoyed that breakdown. Obviously, we had to do a majority of it on Rumble, but you know, it was a great discussion. UK, you wanted to hit the riots?
It's up to you. So we got the riots, we got Venezuela, and we got the boxing. So the UK, your chat's gonna cry. So just depend. What order do you want it in? At what point do you want him to cry?
You know what, man? We can. What's gonna take the longest? You think the UK, right? Probably.
Yeah.
So we can save that for last. Okay. Let's go ahead and hit the boxing situation with what's her name?
Iman Khalif.
Iman Khalif. Go ahead.
Okay, so I feel like I'm like literally the only person who's got this position, right? So some people supporting her because she's a Muslim. Some people support, like, or other people are supporting her because she's the left. Right, for me, it's quite simple. So let me tell you a bit of information about her. So Iman Khalif has been boxing she's from Algeria. She's been boxing in the female division for a very long time. I believe it's the 55, but I could be wrong. I can't remember the exact amount. And she's been boxing. She's been winning some fights. She's been losing some fights. Testing. And never having any kind of negative test. And then what happened is the IBA did a test, and in that test, they said that she failed and there were some anomalies with that test. Mm-hmm. They were so that's what they said. They didn't go into specifics about what it was, but one person who was related to them or relayed with them or linked to them said that, she failed basically she was a man. She had an XY chromosome. Yeah. Right? And then then there was a pushback on them to say, look, what was the test you did? What was the veracity of the test? Like, you need to give this information. And they were unwilling to give the information. Iman was unwilling to go forward with the appeal. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving you both sides.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
so everybody
yeah.
understands.
Sure, yeah.
Because so you had from Iman was unwilling to go for the appeal and they were basically unwilling to give that information. The IBA themselves were basically made defunct. The international boxing body no longer recognized them. They were the amateur boxing body. So they're basically not considered a legitimate boxing operation anymore. The reason for that is political, because the guy in charge of it is Russian, has links to Putin, and there's these kind of various issues. So he has links to issues. They think that they've been cheating and hiding things for Russian athletes, and then they believe that they've been attacking non-Russian athletes and claiming that these guys are basically failing tests. So just everybody understands what it is. And on the other hand, the Russians think that this is a specifically racist attack against the Russians to stop them from competing.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what happened with them. But they're defunct, not accepted as a boxing organization. And then the argument was, look, we don't know if she's a man, we don't know if she's a woman. Like, we need some more evidence, right? Yesterday, someone linked with the IBA, a doctor, did come out and say, look, she failed an XY test, so that means she was born a man. But again, this is not being by a verified body. So now I've given like a balanced from both sides. So they say that she is a man, XY. They say that that's not a legitimate test. IBA is not is a defunct organization, not defunct, but is not someone that's recognized anymore, and therefore we can't take their test. Give us the information about the type of test you did, how you did it, where you did it. But no, we did it. What type of test you did, how you did it, and what the results were. So that's the situation. Now, what happened was in the Olympics, she fought this Italian woman from Europe, and within 45 seconds, that Mamma mia! Exactly. Well, white genocide. Jokes. Not yet. I'm not. Right. Okay. So
and she hit her with the
Falcon punch.
Okay. So what happened? Sorry, what did you say?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So then she
fought this Italian.
Yeah, she fought this Italian. And she quit after 45 seconds. Now this Italian has a history of quitting. Like, there's another fight in the past where she quit within 45 seconds. This time there's an uproar. Now the uproar is, and I think there's something more deeper to it, but it doesn't matter. The uproar is that a man, what they're saying is the man, why is it that he's able to basically beat a woman in women's sports. Now, the question is that obviously we don't know the veracity of whether it's a man or not, but let's just assume it is a man. So anyway, on Twitter, you basically had the entire conservatives attacking her and the liberals attacking her, feminists, and people who were pro-trans supporting her, and then generally a lot of the Muslim community was supporting her because she's a Muslim, and then the anti-Muslim community was against her because she's a Muslim as well. So there's kind of these different groups going on different sides for different reasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a whole... No, you're giving a more holistic view of it, all the...
Yeah, so that's what happened. Now, if I miss something, do jump in and on the chat and let us know, right? Now, my opinion is this, right? I support men being in women's sports, right? Where's the sound effects? Come on, Mo.
I got you.
How dare you?
So I support it with all my veracity, and I'm not even pretending. Like, I'm not even saying it in a like kind of like trolling way, because I know it will get hits, right? So I know as soon as, and you know the worst thing about it is, you know when I posted it, I knew it was gonna go viral, but I didn't expect the Muslims to basically support her. So, because it didn't keep my click in my head that like she's Algerian, she's Muslim, they're gonna support.
Well, there's photos that came out of her in her childhood where clearly she's a girl.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, there's like reports that she has a rare condition where she was born a woman, but certain tests trigger an XY chromosome test. So I don't know. Again, they show these photos and stuff like that. So I don't know specifically. I mean, my stance on it is I was talking more along the well. I'll let you take your stance and I'll say what I was going to say.
Yeah. Because I know everyone will disagree with me on this, right?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
But I'm against feminism.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm consistently against it in all aspects. And I believe that the right is extremely feminist, right? They're extremely woke when it comes to feminism.
Okay.
Right? And when you've got the LGBTQ, or let's take the T in this regard, and you've got feminists, I will support the T.
Okay.
And I'll explain to you why. Because when you look at transgender, I'm against transgender being taught in schools. I've been actually the biggest critic of it from the day, like now people woke up and start talking about it in the United States, maybe for the last so many years. I was talking about it for like a very long time, right? And I was massively against it from a logical perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because my position is left wing, but not woke liberal, right?
Okay.
So there's the change on it. So I've been vehemently against it. Because I think because young children are susceptible, their minds are not developed, and you can manipulate them into thinking anything.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
But when you look at transgender, the vast majority, I think I said this on your show last time, the vast majority of transgender over 16 are women. So it's biological women changing to men. A very small minority.
I thought it'd be the other way.
Yeah. But it's not. And it makes sense logically, right? Because this is literally your expertise. That women are easily controlled, women are easily manipulated, women are easily influenceable, and women are easily impressionable. So if society tells them to act in a certain way, they'll end up acting in that way. So it makes sense that if transgender ideas are being propagated and there's men or women, there's going to be more women who fall for it than men.
Okay,
right?
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So the logic matches up with the data. And the data shows that over 16-year-olds, the vast majority are biological women.
Okay.
And
born a woman transitioning to
into
a
a
man.
man, yeah.
Okay.
So biological woman, they call it trans man. Now, under 16s, and this is because now they've been teaching it in schools. This is because now they've been perpetuating it through various mediums. It's almost 6-1. It means for every 6 women, there's only 1 man.
Okay, so you're saying, so over 16, what's the percentage there?
I believe the percentages, and they're not clear on the percentage, but from like a few different data points, you could probably say about 60%.
Okay, so roughly 60% are going from born a girl, transition to man.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're saying now, but when they're under 16 years old, children, they're going, same thing, it's 6-1 from man to woman again.
Exactly, so nearly 80-90%.
Oh, wow.
Right, okay.
That'd be the other way around, but okay.
So now you understand it, but why do you, no, but the real question is, and this is why, because I always like, this is why I feel like I think outside the box and I just think of things in a different manner, right? So why is it you thought it was the other way around?
Because I think in general, it's a bit easier probably to get through life as a female than it would be as a male in modern society.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it worse, because now, I'll tell you, because I'm going to get to this, that a guy, because by the way, my whole thesis of this is really man hatred, right? Because really, basically, a man can basically, what are we allowed to say this in the YouTube?
I mean, I use use a buzzword if you need
Okay.
to.
A man can basically chop off his genitalia,
Okay.
and even then he's not accepted by a woman.
Okay, I see what you
And
mean.
even then he's not accepted by society.
Okay.
Right? So that's the level of man hatred this is, right? Now coming back to the point, you basically look at the vast majority of women, but the reason you and many others and nearly everyone, and even I thought this, but then I started thinking, wait, something's going on here. Like, I don't believe anything that happens. Is reality that if you look at social media and you look at mainstream media, they are always attacking biological men who change to women, right? And they're always attacking them. And if you look at the famous woman who did it, it's the girl from Umbrella Academy. I forgot her name. Is it something Billy? I forgot her name anyway. She was a biological woman who changed to a man. But the vast majority, Caitlyn Jenner, like all of them, everyone we know is generally speaking, Dylan Mulvaney, like there's a big campaign against Dylan. So you basically got the vast majority who, when they're basically trying to insult the transgender community, they attack a biological man who changes to a woman.
Gotcha.
right?
So in the mainstream media,
Yeah.
when you see the criticisms coming from that angle,
And
okay.
they always give this idea that a man is violent, a man is a pedophile, a man wants to rape, a man wants to kill children, like do all of these things to young children or women.
Yeah.
And they always say, look at the prison population, like men rape these women. Look at the
We'll just say grape.
oh sorry, grape.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Or look at the in bathrooms. Do you want a man to come in the bathroom? He's gonna grape, right? So this is the psychology that they want to perpetuate. But in reality, when you look at prisons, it's women raping women more in the female prisons, right?
Interesting.
And when you look at the data, under 8-year-olds, because this is what they keep saying to you, like these men are a danger to children, because men, according to them, are innately a danger, right? But if you look at under 8-year-olds, women murder and abuse children more than men.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Infanticide. Pearl actually talked about this at length.
Yeah, I told her.
Yeah. Oh, you're okay.
Yeah. So, and to the extent, because I went on a show and explained, like I told her, because she was, So to the point where
When it comes to the death of babies, it's the mother that kills actually significantly way more.
Not just babies, under 8-year-olds,
Yeah.
everything under 8, right?
Yeah.
Over 8, it almost becomes similar, right?
Okay.
But under 8, it's mainly women killing, not counting abortion. You count abortion, then forget about it. The numbers are crazy.
Yeah. Abortion would make it.
Yeah.
Then every chick's a murderer.
So when they're saying to you, oh, guess what? A child is a risk in a bathroom. They're at risk against you, women, not against men. Like, you guys are the ones who are abusing children more, and you guys are the ones who are raping children more, and you guys are the ones who are murdering children more, right? So you're going to understand my whole thesis on this, right? Now, coming back to it. So, when, in reality, then it comes like, why is it that extreme feminists, liberals, are considered the representative of this issue, even to conservatives? So J.K. Rowling, if you look at conservatives, they're like, we stand with J.K. Rowling. He's our J.K. Rowling shirt. And you think, oh my God, how lame are you? Like, you're really perpetuating feminists against the trans community. And they're only attacking men. J.K. Rowling will never, and I mean ever, attack a biological woman who changes to a man. Only men, because it's feminism. You see that post, when the Iman post, if you, I didn't end up sending it, but the Iman post, when you see it, her words are saying it. I don't like these men pretending they're women. I don't like these men doing this. It's all these men are basically doing attack on men, right? And for me, holistically, not just that now. So now we've got that feminism is the biggest problem in society compared to any other problem. LGBTQ is nothing compared to feminism, because feminism causes the destruction of the family, causes the destruction of society, causes population collapse, causes behavior where men aren't able to get women. That causes psychological problems, that causes destruction in society. For me, feminism is such a big problem that it tells you that would I align with a feminist or would I align with a trans? Definitely not with a feminist. And if I look at the major problem, it's the feminists who are causing the problems. Sorry.
No, I'll let you finish your thought, then I'll come in.
So that's the holistic thing. So I don't think women should be in sports at all. And again, data shows that you guys are sending your women to sports. You know, the vast majority of women, especially in team sports, are basically lesbian. So if you look at the Olympics, men to women, I believe the ratio was 17-1. If you look at the American football team, it was a very, very high percentage. Every single female sport, especially team sports, women turn gay, right? So what you're basically saying is this, because I said to them, and they were like, you ain't gonna stop us Americans from getting our women to play sports. And I was like, bruv, You're basically telling me that you want your women to play sports, and then you want them to turn gay, and then you want them to not have children, and then cause the very thing that you're complaining about. You're complaining about white genocide. This is white suicide. You're basically causing that because it's basically they're not having children, right? That is white suicide, not white genocide. So that's what in reality you're causing. So when you look at all of these things, my point is this. You want equality. You want equality in the workplace. You want equality in pay. Even when you don't earn it, you want equality. You look at football, they're saying women should get paid the same as men. Ain't nobody watching women play sports, right? Nobody. The only time people are watching women play sports is when you force them because you play Wimbledon. Men, and then we'll put the women with it, and over time people will get used to women's sports and they might watch it, but really they want to watch the men. Same with like every other sport, Olympics, all these type of stuff. Nobody's going to watch it. Actually, most female sports are loss making, right? And so you have to, like the WNBA is loss making as an example, right? Even though Americans love it so much, they pump WNBA up so much throughout the world, it's loss making. So nobody's watching it.
It's not profit. It's never been profitable.
It's never been profitable. Nobody's interested in it. So in reality, I say, if you want equality in all aspects of life, and you want Serena Williams to be paid the same as Djokovic, even though Djokovic has played 5 sets and Serena Williams may play 3 sets, and nobody's watching and everybody wants to watch Djokovic, then have equality in all sports. So men and women play in the same sports together. Let the men dominate, because guess what? Gender is a social... That's another thing. Gender is a social construct. Is from feminism as well. So gender is a social construct. So let's do it. Let's be about it. Let men dominate sports. I'm all for men's rights.
I'll give you a dollar welcome for that. That's funny. And just for some of you guys, that so your stance is, right, and make sure I want to make sure I have this correct, is that you think there should be one standard, no separate leagues, nothing. If you want the equality that you actually want, that means you need to compete in one league, and that means the best of the best, one league, you compete against the men. That's it. No separation of sports.
Yeah.
None of that stuff.
I'm down with that.
And that's why you're looking at it like,
what happens?
You see what's going on with the allegations of transformers in sports, and you're like, well, this is what you sign up for if you want to play sports and compete. You need to be able to compete against all. You disagree with the concept of 2 different standards.
Exactly. And actually,
Okay.
if that standard happened...
I see your perspective.
No, but if that standard happened...
It's funny.
No, but if that standard happened, what would happen? It'd just be men in sports.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. Because
maybe you'd have a couple of women competing here and there, but
So, for example, Serena Williams... No, I don't even think that'd be like Serena Williams, when she played the 200 or 300 ranked man, she got destroyed.
Yeah, she did.
When the women's football team...
And he was hungover too.
Yeah, and when the... Exactly. So you can't even beat... The best woman of all time can't beat a drunk guy who is not even that good in terms of men's standards.
Yeah.
Obviously, smash us, but I'm talking about...
So you think sports in general needs to have the pinnacle of human competition?
That's what sport is.
Yeah.
Right? And also because I'm saying you need to be consistent, because you believe in gender equality in the workplace. They're saying that Myron earns 40,000 a year. That means this woman, even though she hasn't got the same skills as Myron, even though she probably hasn't worked hard as Myron, she needs to get paid the same. So if you're about equal pay and gender equality, do it properly throughout the board.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you mean. You're literally taking it as what it is equality for all, which means we compete on the same playing field. Yeah. There's no special standards for you. It's you got to compete with the best of the best if you're going to go ahead and jump into this arena.
And I realized that the real game in this is man hatred. So as soon as I realized that, and the switch came on, I was like,
you're using their own logic against them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you want egalitarianism, that literally means okay, equal means equal, which means there's no changes. All one.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and compete. And it's funny that you mentioned this, because when you look at feminism, right, and how it kind of seeps into society, what ends up, because let's be honest here, this is how do I say this? A politically correct feeling, moral type issue, right? We need to be equal and allow them the opportunity to get into certain things. Well, it causes issues, right? If you want to talk about the military, you want to talk about police departments, you want to talk about fire departments, etc., where a lot of the times this is a life or death situation, right? I'm a police officer. I have a female colleague, right, partner, and we get involved in a physical altercation with a suspect that might be strong, and I get injured. Is she going to be able to drag me to safety? No. More than likely not.
Yeah.
Right? But why is that? Well, because if you go all the way back to the hiring process, she only had to do 10 push-ups, whereas I had to do 50 push-ups. She only needed to run a mile and a half in 20 minutes versus I had to run it in 10 minutes. So the the lack of the differentiation between the two standards, what it ends up actually doing is it dilutes the quality of the workforce.
So what you're saying?
And when you dilute the quality of the workforce, you dilute the capability of the employees. But the problem is that you're diluting the quality of the employees from only one perspective, and then the other half of the workforce has to compensate for that, and that puts them in danger. Now, it's one thing if you want to be in the office and work a sit-down job and like blah, blah, blah. But when we're talking about jobs where police officers, military, etc., where it can literally be life or death, and the person next to you is responsible for your safety and you dying or living, I want someone that's capable, that passed the same standards I did. So I see your perspective here, where this egalitarian mindset can have dire consequences, right? And we don't care about it because it's like, sports, woo, let's give them the equality. Job in the workforce, woo, let's give it to them. But then when we're talking about life or death, etc., and this person isn't capable because we want to be morally and politically correct, it causes it problems.
But just look at what you said. If you go with what you said, which is there has to be an equal standard, will there be, except for rare situations, will there be women in military, police, these type of...
Almost never.
Exactly.
Almost never.
And so in reality, if you apply your position to the sports arena or to various other arenas, in reality, what we're saying is women are biologically different to men. They're being created in if you believe in God, they're being created in a different manner, or if you believe in science or whatever, or both, they've evolved in a different manner.
I think even if you look at it from religion or science, it's true. What you said is true.
Yeah. They've evolved in a different manner, and therefore they have different skill sets and different capabilities. Well, I don't know if they've got different skill sets. I don't know if women got skills, but the thing is, they've got different capabilities, except for giving birth, maybe. They're more socially aware than men. That's for sure. Like they're like they're good at lying.
Yeah.
So no, I realized in your when I was doing your podcast, and I was like, wait a sec, why am I even asking them? Because they're just gonna lie to me. But I realized that I started realizing it during the.
That's a part of social skills.
Yeah.
So they're better at social skills than us.
Yeah. Okay. So
go ahead.
So coming back to it, I'm saying the hate of, trust me on this, guys. Like, don't just think outside the box. The hate on the trans is solely man hatred. And in reality, what it's saying is that a man can basically chop off his genitalia, and even then we're going to abuse him. And my proof of that is if you look at all the extreme feminists, they're all against the trans community. Well, I thought they were one crew. LGBTQ, feminism. Feminism created this. They said gender is a social construct. This whole idea was actually created by feminists. It's just now they got to start getting smashed up in their own sports. And because men are better than women in almost everything, they're like, what are these guys who are basically being women smashing us in all areas? Like, we don't want this. So that's the reality of the situation. So yeah, I do stand with the trans community, and I'm down with Iman and that other Taiwanese biological men dominating sports and winning it.
Oh, man. Okay. I mean, that's a funny perspective because you're looking at it like equality everywhere. Like it's in every realm, whether it's the workforce, sports, equality all over the place, one standard, go ahead and compete.
Or that, which I agree with, or women just don't play sports. Like, nobody wants to watch it. They're not good at it. It's not up to standards, and you're basically turning your girls gay and lesbian. And if you're turning your girls lesbian, because they keep telling me, like, Americans, you can't stop American women doing sports, that's fine. But maybe that's why you're having a population collapse. That's maybe why most of you guys aren't having women, because most of them are playing team sports, both professionally and at an amateur level, turning lesbian. There's other reasons for it as well, what's happening, and then that's why you're not having kids.
I don't see, me personally, I see your perspective. I don't think that there's anything wrong with women playing sports, because I do think, like, if you got like a teenage daughter or something like that, her playing sports and learning instruments and doing other things like that will make her more productive instead of having TikTok brain. But from a professional standpoint, I absolutely see your perspective.
Instruments,
because it's subsidized a lot of the times, right? And then even at the collegiate level, Division I, right? And I could say this at Title IX, right, for all my D1 athletes out there. What ends up happening is they have to give the same amount of money to female sports as they do for male sports, and I think that's ridiculous because, for equality, you're like, oh, well, if you look at like a big football program, right, like in Alabama or something like that, or a big basketball program, they give a lot of money to these sports teams, but these sports teams generate a lot of money for the university. But, for equality, they go ahead and they turn over that same amount of money into female sports teams, which are not, productive or profitable at all, right, which I think is ridiculous. So I think maybe at a high school level, at an amateur level, I think it's okay. I mean, we'd have to have a discussion about how to do it at college, but from a professional standpoint, I see a perspective completely because it's not profitable. But why do we do it? We do it because of, it feels right. And, and being politically correct, which, because here, if we put the shoe on the other foot, would we ever fund a male sports league if it wasn't profitable? Fuck no.
Never.
They tried with the XFL. That shit was gone within a year.
Exactly.
But we do it with the WNBA every year because of feelings, and that's
Exactly.
ridiculous. So I definitely see her perspective.
So just on that, like I myself, like I've got daughters, and one of the things I did was when I tried to decide what activities they're going to get into, I really did look at what activities basically cause lesbianism and these type of behaviors. Because in reality, you have control over your kids when they're with you.
Yeah.
And you can educate them. But with girls, and this data showing it, is very much influenced, impressionable, and do get affected. So, for example, team sports, even at that level, and like things like ballet, there's a high proportion of women who are basically LGBTQ in those areas.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why I wouldn't. But for example, playing the piano, playing the violin, it's not the case. So there are, of course, I'm not saying like keep your kid in, a woman, your daughter inside and don't teach her any skills. So like violin, piano, there are certain things that girls
That's
can
a
do.
lost art, teaching kids instruments.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a lost art.
That's what I would do. But in terms of like these things, that is kind of like you're putting your child in danger. Like, would you like you talk about this a lot? Would you send your daughter through a rough neighborhood?
No, of course not.
Because the likelihood of something happening is going to be higher. So similarly, I wouldn't send my child to sports because the likelihood of
What sports are the worst, would you say, from your data that you've looked at? And I know people here are going to say, Sully, where's your sources? So, I mean, from what you looked at, and you could tell them as well, what sports have you noticed the highest rates of, I guess, of girls becoming lesbian?
Soccer, ballet, the Olympics, so like athletic sports, the what you call it, running, when you go into athletics,
Track and field.
track and field, yeah, track and field. You guys call it track and field. And there's one more sport, rugby. And
Rugby.
Yeah.
What about basketball? Basketball, I remember when I was in college, like all the girls on the team didn't like dudes.
I believe, because I don't remember the data on basketball, but I remember reading an article, but I don't remember the percentages on it.
Okay.
Yeah, but basketball was quite high. But I can't remember
So one
why.
more time, you said soccer,
Soccer,
ballet.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
And
Yeah,
soccer,
yeah.
ballet, and what else?
Soccer, ballet, track and field, rugby.
Rugby makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Learn something new every day.
Ballet.
Anything else that we want to talk about with this whole thing?
That's it.
Yeah. That's an interesting take. Yeah, I don't think men should be in women's sports, but I see your perspective as well. Okay.
We stand with the T's.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do we got here?
That's YouTube friendly, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
That
is.
is. That is.
Might
All
get a
right.
boost.
Yeah. What do we got next here? What do we got next? Oh, UK riots.
Okay.
UK riots.
Do you want that first or Venezuela first?
Actually, you know what? Yeah, because UK riots might take some time, right? We could do Venezuela first.
And the chat will get emotional, so we'll
Yeah, go ahead.
Right,
So
okay.
take us through, and I guess I could do the preamble. Like basically, well, a week ago, I would say now at this point, Venezuela had elections. It was Maduro versus, God damn it, what's the other guy's name? Someone help me out here.
It was Maria.
No. It was
No,
a
well,
guy.
she was endorsing the dude that ran against him.
That's right. Yeah.
But either way, long story short, everyone says that the election was rigged.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying that Maduro is a dictator. He's communist. He's fucking the country up. He's responsible for the massive inflation that they've been suffering through. 1/3 of Venezuelans have left the country, fled the country. Something like 7 or 8 million, if I'm not mistaken, have left.
Yes.
Venezuelans have left. And which, I'll tell you guys, here in Miami, we got a lot of them here. And they're all here on, pretty much asylum or temporary protected status. So, or TPS, I think is what it stands for. So, yeah. What do you, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So first of all, I know you had Jackson the other day, so shout out to him because he actually went to Venezuela.
Yeah, Jackson Nicole was in Venezuela. He's crazy. He's back now, thank God.
yeah.
They were going to kill him.
Yeah, they did.
They literally doxed his hotel and everything, bro.
Yeah,
I was like, bro, what do you... I literally texted him. I said, bro, get the fuck out of Venezuela. Like, they're doxing you. They know where you're at. They're putting out pictures of you and stuff like that. Like, dude, you got to get out of there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was good
Crazy.
advice. Yeah.
But I'm glad he's okay. He's back.
So he's an example of someone, and many others like Alan McLeod and various other people who went to Venezuela to basically
Oversee the elections. Yeah.
But let's just take it back. So Venezuela, why is Venezuela important? Because Venezuela is rich in crude oil, which gives
More
you
than Saudi
petroleum.
Arabia even.
Yeah, rich in crude oil, rich in a number of minerals, including diamonds. I don't know who's interested in diamonds.
Edmundo Gonzalez.
Edmundo Gonzalez. Okay,
Edmundo.
was who he ran against.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mo.
And he was supported by, he was basically like the fake representative of Maria Guaido, wasn't she? So
That's who they really wanted.
Yeah.
So what happened was, that you basically had a scenario where, so let's look at, this is why Venezuela is important. So for a very long time, the U.S. through the CIA has attempted to coup in Venezuela to take it out and to basically put their own operatives in there.
Yeah.
And that's both America and other foreign nations like Israel. So these countries have been basically attempted to do that. Now, you basically, they attempted a coup against Chavez.
Chavez was the guy, was the leader
previous-
prior to. For
Maduro.
those that are wondering, Chavez was the leader prior to Maduro. He died in 2013 from cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Chavez.
That's right, yeah.
And Maduro was his vice president. So Maduro basically rose to power, pretty much kept the same exact policies that Chavez had. But when Chavez got in, people wanted him in because he was kind of like, we're going to stop the corrupt military, blah, blah, blah. So he was actually like, the people wanted him in. But then obviously, I guess as he continued on, maybe support waned a bit. And then Maduro came in, and I don't know if there's the same level of support. I don't know what to believe anymore with this whole, with Venezuela.
So
But go
look,
ahead.
they're socialists, right?
Yeah.
Or communists.
Yeah.
So like obviously Americans, like I've noticed, as soon as they hear the word communist, they kind
They
of
get angry.
lose
Yeah.
their mind.
Yeah.
So then they won't see any form of rationale. So you could even be like, yeah, he's a commie, but like these things are good about him. And they're like, nah, he's a commie, right? Whereas us, like, because I don't believe in like communism or capitalism, like we can just like look at things like in a rational perspective. So when you look at, for example, what happened, so you had Hugo Chavez, who basically took over. America wanted him out. They even attempted a coup. Now, they say it was by the diaspora, Venezuelans, but we know this is like all CIA-backed, Mossad-backed one. So they did an operation in even 2000, I believe, where they did Operation Gideon, where they tried to take him out. There was also another CIA operation where they actually managed to take him out for like 48 hours.
Wait, you're telling me America tried to kill a Latin American leader that's a communist? Come on, bro.
Nah,
They would never do that.
they would never do that. Neither would Israel. Would never be involved in that.
Come on, man.
They would never be involved in that.
Dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Man?
Exactly. And then so what happened was you basically, to the extent where they actually managed to overthrow him for 48 hours. And what happened? You know how he survived? The people stood up for him. The military stood up for him and stopped. So even, put him back in power. So they've attempted coups many and many times. Even to the extent where in 2018, they basically had somebody else they basically recognized a new leader instead of Maduro. They did the same thing they did now. And then that's why he got banned, because this Maria, the woman they wanted in place.
Yeah, could we pull her name up real quick?
I think it's Maria Guaduardo.
Yeah,
Yes.
pull up her name
Yes.
fast. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so then what happened was you basically did in 2018 they attempted that coup. They attempted to replace him, and again it didn't work, and Maduro basically stayed in charge. So they've been attempting to overthrow Maduro a significant number of times. Now what happened is throughout this time they put sanctions on Venezuela.
Heavily sanctioned.
Heavily sanctioned, right? Which has been increasing. Which is when you do sanctions don't affect the president, they affect the poor people in the country.
Yes.
So in reality, because the psychology of sanctions is this: you put sanctions on a country, the poor people suffer, the poor people die from it, and maybe then that causes the poor people to revolt.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of like real.
It's what we've done to Iran. It's what we've done to Cuba. It's what we've done to all of our adversaries. We did it to Russia when they invaded Ukraine. I mean, yeah, it's a typical political strategy.
It's the real idea of Mikado, yeah. So the real idea of
Machado, yeah.
What you call it, putting sanctions in. Then what happened was you basically, so they tried that didn't work, and then they put sanctions in. Finally, what Maduro said is, look, I'll just do another election. Like you're all complaining about it, we'll just do another election. And they had an agreement. Part of the agreement was that they would like release or minimize the sanctions for him to do this new election.
Okay.
Right.
Sanctions from the United States to be specific.
That's
okay.
right, yeah. And remember, this Maria Machado, she basically attempted, she wanted the CIA to come in and do a coup before. She even asked for the CIA to come in and do a coup. And she even said, like, I stand with Israel. Like, any pain that Venezuelans go through, Israel goes through. Also, with Maduro, he's extremely pro-Palestine. If you've seen
he is. He actually, didn't he say free Palestine right before he gave his own vote?
Yeah, he did. So he knew. Basically, that was basically sticking up a finger to the other side because they knew who's on the other side, isn't it?
Yeah.
In reality. And then, so basically, he knew that they're going to say that the elections are not real. He knew that they're going to say that the opposition's won. He knew that was going to happen already because they did it before to him. right? So
Yeah.
this time what he did was he got international observers, journalists, politicians, people from a wide range of backgrounds, from a wide range of countries to come in and observe the elections. All of them are saying the elections went fine. On the day of the election, you basically had these Bell accounts who basically tried to make it look like that the election was fake. So you saw them posting, like Visegrad is one example, someone who was reposted by Elon Musk a number of times, where he'd show like basically, they were like, oh, they're stealing the ballot boxes. And then you look at it and you think, oh, wait a sec, these are just air conditioning units. Another one was, oh, look, the elections are fake. This adds up to 108% because Maduro got like 51%. The second guy got 43%.
Yeah, they said numbers didn't add up.
Yeah, they said the numbers didn't add up. But in reality, it was because all of the other opposition, other than the front two, they got 4.5% in total. So it did add up to 100%. But they...
Okay. Oh, so there were more than 2 people on the ballot is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the discrepancy between the percentages.
Yeah, that's right. Because what they did was, the discrepancy was this, that they said 51% Maduro, 43%, I think it was, or 44% to... 46% to the... Anyway, whatever the percentage is to the second guy. To Edmundo. And then...
Well, I'm going to ask you to jump in this in a second because I know Venezuela is one of your things.
Yeah, and then third, fourth, fifth, sixth guys all together, they got 4.5% together, right? But they made it look like each one got 4.5%. And so then they said, oh, it adds up to 108%. But in reality, so again, Elon retweeted that. And then
Elon has been big on like saying that the election is fake and Maduro is a tyrant, etc.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Elon really dislikes Maduro.
I mean, why? So Elon's propping up Javier Milei, Gers Wilder, Viktor Orban. What do they all have in common?
Their countries are rich and
Bell. The Zionist control. Oh,
no, you're good.
Yeah. They're controlled
by the Z's.
Yeah, they're controlled by the Z's, nationalists, and that's the reason he propagates them or perpetuates them, and he has deals with them himself as well. Whereas
Argentina is rich in God damn it, what's the precious commodity that they're rich in that electric cars need? Fuck.
Lithium.
Is it lithium? Someone in the chat's gonna put it. So someone put it in the chat. Continue on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you basically have a scenario. This is the reason why Elon wants to overthrow, because when he overthrows, for example, Venezuela, he can replace it with a basically Z-controlled government. And so that's the reality of...
I'm saying lithium and cobalt.
Yeah, lithium, yeah. So that's in reality what he wants, right? So that's the reason he's against it. And he's pushing it. Like he was... If you look at X tried everything in his power to cause the coup. It was shocking. Like even where like Elon was posting and telling people to like overthrow, even when you saw these big Z accounts all posting the same thing, they all wanted to overthrow him. So look, I don't agree with I'm not a communist. I don't agree with communism. I think there's like certain flaws with the ideas. Although I'm friends with like people who believe in it, right? But the thing is, I'm not going to want to support somebody who wants to overthrow the legitimate government, overthrow a government just so America or Israel can take control of that country, basically grape it of its resources, and then basically have it destroyed. So that's the reason I was against the overthrowing of Maduro. It hadn't not much to do with anything
Jackson argues that Maduro is keeping the central banks away as well. That's another, the IMF, etc. So that's what Jackson was, for those that are wondering, Jackson Hinkle. He said that's another reason why the West wants him gone is because Maduro's anti-central bank.
Yeah, 100%.
Which we know who runs the central banks, right?
No,
so,
exactly.
But yeah.
No, 100%. So, like, for example, if you look at a lot of the capitalist structure, which basically controls a lot of the countries, of course, this is true. He's right.
Yeah.
I agree with him.
And then the countries that do support Venezuela, Russia, North Korea, China, etc. They're all adversaries of the United States. So,
yeah. But what happens with this is, as an American, just like from your guys' perspective, what really happens is this. Either you had one option where you could basically steal all their resources of them, but when you've now put sanctions on Maduro, when you fail to do this, what you tried to do, which was to overthrow him and put your own puppet in, when Israel and America failed to do that, then what you do is you don't put sanctions in. They put sanctions in back on Maduro. What do you think Maduro is going to do?
make a sustainable government by it. I mean, that's what Russia did. Prepare and then create because Russia actually used the sanctions to their advantage. Their economy's up now. They're like the 5th strongest economy in the world.
So he'll improve his economy, but the way he'll do it is he'll make a deal with China and Russia.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing is you're still living in this world where you have American homogeny, where you could put sanctions on country. But now when you're putting sanctions on countries, they're like, wait a sec, I'm just going to go to China. I'm just going to go to Russia. And so, like, for example, if you look at the sanctions of Russia, you mentioned it, they basically, through India, have been giving Europe the various resources anyway. So sanctions aren't working. And so what you're doing is...
they don't have the same power that they used to.
They don't. And so what you're really doing is giving power to, again, the BRICS.
That's what it
You're
does,
giving more power to China and Russia because now all of these countries are going to go to them. And that is going to weaken America significantly. So, again, they've just not... we know the real reason they've done it is because of the Zionist control of these various establishments. That's the real reason they've done it, and then they want to take control of that country for that reason. But the impact it's going to have on America is significant. I come to America now, and I'm seeing the ramifications of it. Because you live here, maybe you guys don't notice it. It is a failing society, right? And I love coming to America. Like, for example...
We're better than you guys. UK sucks.
Well, I don't know. I thought it did. But now I come here. Like, I came 10 years ago, right, for the first time. And I was like... The American service industry is just on another level. I'd walk into a shop and at least about 10 people would be like, hello, sir, how you doing? How's things? And I was like, what is going on here? These people are, first of all, so bubbly, so excitable. And there's like 20 of them like mauling me just to see if I'm okay when I come into a store. Now when you go into a store, there's literally like one person who's there and there's like huge queues. There's terrible service. Now you might think, oh, this is like, why is he talking about this? Because I tell you, the service industry gives you an example of how well the economy is doing in a more higher level.
Okay.
So a way to always look at it is when you look at the service industry and how well it's doing, that gives you example. Shops are closing down. They've only got less people working as sales assistants. They've not come out to give you a good service. There's huge queues. These always give you almost like a very basic enlightenment into how a society is doing and how an industry is doing. So when I look at your service industry and look at how bad it's gone over the last 10 years, I think America is struggling really badly.
Yeah, well, I mean, the economy is I mean, the markets are crashing now. I mean, definitely it's not like it was in 2014. There's been significant change. I mean, if we want to talk about inflation, we talk about the strength of the dollar, the purchasing power, it's all went down. I mean, and then you add in the fact that we printed like 80% of the money that's circulated right now, a majority was printed in the last 4 years. That's crazy. You know what I mean? We've printed more money than ever before, thanks to the pandemic. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely see your perspective there with the whole Venezuela thing. So what's your thoughts on it? Do you think that the elections were fair, or do you think that it was a scam, as many say?
I mean,
or rigged?
Yeah. I think the elections were fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they were fair, and that was demonstrated by the fact that he got outside observers. He tried to make sure that it was as fair as possible, right? Mm-hmm. And I think he knew that they're going to claim that it's not fair. So, yeah, I do think they were fair elections. Because other than that, like, what is it? He faked the elections and then the other side won. So that means, like, really the CIA-backed person won. I don't think so.
Yeah. So you're saying you think he won and that there's great incentive to put him out of power because he doesn't want the central banks and he doesn't want the IMF and he doesn't want the country to follow some of the same capitalistic ideals and being controlled by central bankers like the West is.
So I agree with that. But in addition to that,
protecting their resources of oil.
They're protecting their own resources because your own resources are basically your future. Yeah. Right? And also to make sure that you have sovereignty of your own country. That basically America or Israel isn't the countries who have control over your country. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm basically supporting Maduro.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
And versus a country like Ukraine, which BlackRock just basically bought it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if you look
Zelensky.
at many countries, any country you see that basically gave up its resources, gave everything up to the United States, they're not in a good position. So in reality, this is I believe in the sovereignty of the country, each country, and so if you believe in that, then you should be back in Maduro.
Okay, Mo, what's your thoughts on this? Obviously, Venezuela is a country that you love and you'd be going to and stuff like that. What's your thoughts? Because I'll be honest here, guys, I don't know enough about Venezuelan geopolitics to give a concrete stance on this. I like to just hear both sides because I've heard your side where you and Jackson think that the election was fair. Angie, my girl, thinks the elections were rigged, right? She's not a fan of Maduro, etc. So I'm hearing different perspectives. A lot of Venezuelans dislike Maduro.
In the diaspora.
Yeah,
sure.
a lot of them, yeah.
In America.
Yeah. So, yeah, of course, yeah. But then you look at, some other stuff where people say, no, they love Maduro. He's done a lot for the country, kept it protected from, first world imperialism, whatever the hell. Well, go ahead, Mo.
Another part is Venezuela's banking on the Esquivel province. There's a
Explain that to the people.
Venezuela is going through a conflict between Venezuela and Guyana over the land of Essequibo, which is another big area where there's a ton of oil reserve.
Okay.
And Venezuela is basically banking on it. That's why they changed their flags. They changed the country map. For what's known in other parts of the world is there's a special the shape, the regular shape of the country. There's a big like. They're trying to claim Essequibo and they're invade was the word. Because they're actually having a conflict between Venezuela and Guyana because of they're trying to fix the inflation. Use the oil from the Essequibo province to fix the inflation that they're going through right now.
Gotcha. Do you think the elections were fair, or do you think that it was rigged? What are your thoughts?
That I'm not too sure. I cannot say. I did hear both sides. I personally do not believe it is fair.
Okay.
Although what I believe is kind of like a America's thing, where maybe Edmundo won the popular vote, but he didn't win the Venezuela's version of electoral college.
Oh, Maduro, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
So just on that as well, remember the people who are claiming that the elections were rigged are basically Z-controlled establishments, NGOs, and papers like the Washington Post, the Edison Foundation.
Yeah.
So all of Emerson. So all
because there's talk that there's no food there. The grocery stores are empty and everything else. And Jackson went on Twitter and he showed like the grocery stores and stuff.
Jackson did do that. Look, there is poverty in Venezuela.
Of
right?
course,
Of course, right. So I ain't gonna pretend like there's no poverty. There is definitely poverty in Venezuela. I blame the sanctions for that because the sanctions have caused it. Like you can't have a country with sanctions in the situation they are and that not impact like poverty. So there definitely is poverty in Venezuela. People are struggling there for sure. But I believe the sanctions. So all Venezuela now.
So the question comes to, I guess, right? Is it better for Maduro to work alongside the United States, right? Get rid of the sanctions, or is it better he holds out, continues to say no, fuck the central banks. I'm not bringing them in. I don't want to be an American puppet. And then deal with the sanctions. That's what it really comes down to.
But he tried to work with them. So he said to them, like, what do you want? And they were like, we want another election. And he's like, okay, reduce the sanctions. So they're like, okay, we've reduced the sanctions. He knew that they're going to say that the elections are rigged, hence why he got outside observers. So he's like, I'm working with Americans. I'm going to bring Americans in. Like, for example, Jackson Hinkle or Alan McLeod, who's British, and various others. I forgot the name of the woman who went there as well. She's pro-Palestinian. But anyway, she's many other great people, and she's got
creator. Basically, he brought influential people in.
Yeah, he brought people in. He's like, this will be evidence that I'm not rigged the election. And then even then they're like, nah, we don't believe that you won. We're gonna just choose this guy. We decided he's won. Like, and we've decided, and our NATO European countries have decided it. Everybody's accepting that Maduro's won. So other than that, the only else thing he could have done is say, look, I'm stepping down. I'm giving my country to you. America, Israel, you can have my country. You can take all our resources for yourself. He could have done that. I don't think that's the honorable. I don't think that's the.
Let me text Jackson, see if he's up right now. I'll get him on the phone because he literally was just in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Especially their currency, the bolivar, is damn near worthless to the trash. A lot of companies over there, they use U.S. dollars. Like they prefer U.S. dollars. They take U.S. dollars.
Yeah.
A lot of companies. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because they've crashed the economy. Like they, of course, there's no doubt about it. People struggle in Venezuela, but I blame the sanctions for it. And I think now that the new deal that it's so obvious. Like I was like, they're gonna go to China, and then I read a couple of articles that they are basically making deals with China. So
Let's do a poll in the chat. Let's see what they say, what they think. Were the Venezuelan elections rigged, guys, or not, or fair?
They're just gonna be like, oh, listen, they're commies. It's all fair.
Yeah, let's ask them anyway.
You'll be surprised.
Let's see what they got to say. And guys, and if you don't know, don't vote. I want people that are actually geopolitically aware of the Venezuelan situation to vote here. Don't be one of these tinfoil hats like everything is right. Like, do you guys think the elections were fair? Let's just say that. Do you guys think the elections were fair in Venezuela? We'll do a poll on YouTube. Rumble is going to come out with it soon, so let's see. And if you don't know, just stay impartial. Like me, I don't know. Or you could put a third thing there, Bill, saying I'm not sure, impartial.
So look, there's a couple of comments on this. So someone said, first of all, said Sulaiman's anti-American. Second thing, why is it bad for him to be US's puppet? So the reason is because you're Israel's puppet. Like, what are you talking about? You don't even have your own autonomy. Like, you don't even have your own country. So, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea for people to become Israel's puppet. So, yeah, that's hope that answers your question.
All right. Let's
That
go
was,
ahead.
that was an unpopular opinion saying it's fair.
Yeah, that is
Oh,
an
yeah,
unpopular opinion. Yeah.
It's gonna get worse when we do the UK stuff, don't worry.
Okay, so I guess we could transition over to the United Kingdom situation. And with this, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about. I know there's been some riots on the mass immigration unit in the United Kingdom. I think that is the main. Is that the main reason why with the mass immigration?
No, that's the claim. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I want to get your take on it later on this week. By the way, guys, I'll probably bring Tommy Robinson on and get his take on it. You know, obviously, I like to hear all perspectives. I know Sulaiman and Tommy aren't necessarily the best of friends. But I'll turn it to you, Sulaiman. Tell us what the hell is going on in the United Kingdom. This is your home country. You've been there for many years. So.
Well, I was born there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were born and raised there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So.
I'm third generation. So, okay, so let's break it down, right? Look, I know your chat's gonna cry and cry and cry, and it's fine. Yeah, get ready for it. Get ready for your tears.
Okay.
So, like, let's look at this. So, first of all, let's look at this. Let me give you a proper backdrop of what's happened.
Okay.
So, you basically have a scenario that in the UK, people are significantly pro-Palestine, right?
Okay.
To the extent where every Sunday, people go out in their numbers, largely white people.
Okay, I was going to ask, is this due to the large Muslim population in the United Kingdom? Or is it due to just...
So Muslim population in the UK is... Well, actually, let me ask you guys, what do you guys think that you... Because based on the media, you might have a certain perception. What do you guys think that the UK population is, a Muslim population is in the UK? As a percentage.
Okay, so I guess...
Noble knows, so obviously...
I would say 30 to 40%.
Okay.
I would say...
maybe 35.
Okay.
I would say, okay, so I've been to the United Kingdom a few times, especially in the last 1 or 2 years. I spent all my time in London, though. So London obviously is a microcosm of the bigger population. So there was a big Muslim population in London. However, that does not account for the rest of the United Kingdom. So what I would say is, I would say at the most, maybe 10 to 20%. That's the Muslim population. I still think the overwhelming majority is probably going to be Christian, Catholic, Caucasian.
Okay, so I'm looking at your chat. People are saying 35%, 30%, 40%, 25%.
Because London isn't an accurate representation.
Yeah. So it's
in my opinion.
It's 6%.
6%.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are we talking about people that identify as Muslim, or are we talking about people that are from foreign lands?
People who are Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're talking about, what do you mean by foreign lands?
Pakistan. I know there's a lot of Pakistani immigrants there.
Yeah. So you mean
Moroccans,
non-white,
etc.
So you mean because for example, I'm born in the UK, but I'm not white. So
Yeah.
do you mean non-white population?
Yeah, non-white. Yeah.
Okay. So the white population in the UK is 80. So in the 2011 census was 82%. I believe the last census it was 77%. White
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 77% are Caucasian.
Yeah.
And then that leaves about 23% as being minority.
Yeah.
And then you're saying of that 23% minority, roughly 6% of them are Muslim.
That's
and
right.
of course, there's going to be white Muslims too, but
That's right.
You-
Yeah.
okay.
I think there's actually a very large white Muslim population in the UK. What was the number again? I believe it could have. Okay, I can't remember the number. It was either 80,000 or 800,000, but 800,000 don't make sense. It must be 80,000.
Well, where are they from? Bosnia? Like
Converts.
Oh, converts.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. So, okay, but only 6% of the population is Muslim. Okay.
Okay.
What about in London?
London.
It's got to be higher.
15%.
15% in London.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So now we've kind of got an idea, right?
Okay.
But I like that we asked that question because most of the chat thought 30, 35%, 40%, 25%. They thought it was really high because of what the media says, right?
Yeah.
So what happened is you've basically got these pro-Palestinian, and you know what it is in the UK? Generally speaking, the vast majority are more towards like more liberal, but they're not liberal. So they're more like, you have like a big percentage who are like woke leftists. Then you have a big percentage who are liberals, but not woke. And then you have basically people who are right conservatives. And then you have people who are like far right. Okay. I know they're going to cry when I'm using far right, but what the terminology are you going to use, right? Okay. Now, so if you look at the UK, the pro-Palestinian protests, we had so many people going every week. Some weeks it was over 1 million. One week it was 1.3 million. Now just think about that.
What was that at? In London?
London, yeah.
Wow.
But people from like throughout UK. Because remember, our population in the UK of adults is only about 35, 40 million.
Oh.
So just think how many people turned out.
Okay.
It's a huge percentage.
Yeah.
Never mind the people who support it, but then just didn't go to the streets.
Okay.
So you've got millions upon millions upon millions of people who go to the streets and no violence, hardly any violence whatsoever.
Before?
In any of these protests.
Okay.
Right? The only time there was violence was when the Z-controlled fake nationalist Tommy Robinson did a protest, and then there was some violences and police were attacked. Right? So you see that. And what happened was the Zionist-controlled government were getting angry. And they were like, we need to stop this. And even people like Suella Braverman said, we need to stop. We need the police to stop people protesting. We need to make it illegal. We need to make it so that if you speak for Palestine, it becomes illegal. So they wanted to turn it into a police state.
Interesting.
But the public would never...
And you guys don't have the same levels of freedom of speech that we do over here, right?
True.
You
guys
I
have
think
the
that's
First
important.
Amendment.
Yeah, I think that's very important for the audience to understand. Is like they don't have a First Amendment over there. Because I've seen people get arrested off Twitter tweets in the UK.
Yeah. And so you basically got these things happening. Now, I'm going to come to this incident, so just understand this as a backdrop.
Okay.
Then you basically got someone like Tommy Robinson, right?
Okay.
Tommy Robinson isn't anti-immigration. Tommy Robinson said he wants immigration from India. He wants immigration from Africa. He wants immigration from China. He wants immigration from everywhere. He just doesn't want Muslims.
Okay.
Okay. So he's not anti-immigration. He's anti-Islam.
Okay.
Right? And you might say, oh, Islamophobia, don't use the word terminology Islamophobia, which I think is dumb. Because either you say you can't use Islamophobia, you can't use anti-Semitism, you can't use anti-white, or you can use all the terminologies, right? Because there's a lot of people who are like, oh, Sulaiman's been anti-white, but why is he crying about Islamophobia? Contradiction, right? You can't be saying that you can't use a term, but you can't use a term, right? So, Tommy Robinson is someone who is a Zionist. He is paid by Israel, and there's significant links to him to that. For example, Ezra Levant is the guy who basically had a Rebel News, a Rebel Media. He's one of his main backers, and he's been known to and he's again a Zionist Jewish guy, right? And to the extent where, for example, he went to Canada recently, and he had another woman with him, and she is anti-immigration, right? She's a Caucasian woman. She was anti-immigration.
You're talking about Tommy or this
other woman? This other woman.
But she was with Tommy. Or
she
was
went with Tommy to Canada,
okay.
right? And what happened was she went with Tommy to Canada, and in Canada, Canada, the immigration is mainly from India.
Oh yeah, they arrested him in Canada recently.
Well, this is what I'm going to explain to you. So
Okay.
this woman, what she said was, I was shocked. I'm spending time with this guy, and he goes into like some Indian restaurant, and she's like, obviously she's against like any kind of immigration, so at least she's consistent, right? And she's like, I'm against all forms of immigration. Why is he going to an Indian restaurant when in Canada the most migration is from India?
Yeah,
Yeah.
huge Indian population
so
there.
she's like, why is he going there? So he goes there, and then he
Because
basically
he likes curry, man.
yeah, and then he smokes some, and he likes coke because he's like basically according to her, he basically has loads of coke, gets off his head, and then does an interview. But in there, what they do is they plan for the arrest. So that's her claim that Tommy Robinson, and Ezra plan out that he's gonna get arrested. Yeah. So what happens is, this is my argument about Tommy, that what he does is he does these fake arrests. Like for example, I'll explain. So he does these fake arrests, gets arrested, and then goes on a fundraising spree. So that's literally his MO. So as an example, right now he got arrested in the UK for the Terrorism Act, right? They said. But if you look at it, so I've studied the Terrorism Act. I literally did my thesis on it. So according to the Terrorism Act, you can literally hold someone for 28 days without access to an attorney and without questioning them. You can basically hold them for 28 days. It was used against the Muslim population for like 2 decades, right?
In the United Kingdom.
In the United Kingdom.
Did this come after the London bombings in 2005?
September the 11th.
Oh.
After 9/11, yeah.
It's legislation that came after 9/11.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. And
Yeah.
then I'm assuming they probably exercised that a lot after the bombings in 2005.
No, they exercised it immediately.
Okay.
And actually, not only did they exercise it immediately, like people like Tommy Robinson and another guy called Majid Nawaz, who was a Muslim Zionist, although now he's kind of switched sides, but at that time he was a Muslim Zionist. I still think he is.
Which there are Muslim Zionists, by the way, guys. So I know some of you are like, wait, there's no possible. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. So
There's a lot
they
of them,
basically perpetuated the Prevent, which was basically in schools. like your children could be taken off you because they think you're an extremist, right? So
Wow.
anyone who kind of is overtly,
So it's maybe like the functional equivalent of like the Patriot Act here in the United States.
it is exactly like the Patriot Act.
Okay, what's
Yeah.
it called again? It's called the Terrorism Act in the United Kingdom.
2000,
Okay,
yeah. It's like the Patriot Act, mass surveillance, and yeah, exactly. And so you basically, so again, these guys perpetuate it through Quilliam Foundation. So what I'm saying is they could have held him for 28 days. Why did they only hold him for 1 day? He was going to screen this movie, which was illegal to screen, and
why was it illegal?
because what basically happened was he did a court case against some Syrian refugee. There was a defamation case between him and a Syrian refugee. He lost the case.
Okay.
And then he was going to make a movie claiming that really, it was all fake and he should have won. And they basically said that it's illegal for him to...
Is it the Syrian kid that was bullied?
That's right.
The 15-year-old?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so they sued him for defamation.
That's right.
Okay, and they won the case.
That's right. So Tommy lost. And Tommy's claim is, just to be fair to him, his claim is that the judicial system was basically unfair to him, that they intentionally made him lose. Really, the evidence was on his side.
Okay.
So he made this movie to say, like, this is my side of the story. This is really what happened. I think it's called Silence or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, I think it's the documentary that's pinned to his top of his tweet. Which, by the way, guys, don't worry. I'm going to bring Tommy out to tell his side as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, So
Yeah, you can listen to the Zionist side later. So then what happened was, right, so you basically have a scenario where he, what you call it? So, yeah, so the police know he's going to go there. They claim 100,000 people went to the march. I don't believe it. I think there's maybe...
the Tommy's March.
Yeah.
When did he have this march? A
It was
couple
like
days
a
ago?
couple of weeks ago.
A couple weeks. Okay.
Yeah. And they believe like 100,000 people went. I think there was much less than that, maybe 50, 60,000. But that was not just him. It was him, Katie Hopkins, Lawrence Fox, Nigel Farage, like all of this spots together.
Are these all far-right voices in the United Kingdom?
Exactly. But
For all the people that might not be familiar?
But all Zionists.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the far-right voices who are now Zionists, like Nick Griffin or Jada Franson, I think her name is, they're segregated. They're not accepted. So they are nationalists, but they're not Zionists. So you see the difference, right?
All right. And now we're guys, chat. We're getting into like the British world of
Politics, yeah.
Political media, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And
so this is all new
Just
to me.
to prove,
I know who Nigel Farage is.
Yeah.
And Tommy Robinson, obviously, but these
Yeah.
other names that you mentioned, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on.
Just to prove my thesis that this guy isn't a real nationalist, when British military men were killed in Gaza by Israel, three British military men.
Oh, the ones that were there to feed them.
Exactly.
And one Australian, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. And
yeah.
one American Canadian.
Yeah.
Right? So when they got murdered by Israel,
Yeah.
don't you think the nationalists would speak out and say, "Oh my God, why did they kill this military?"
I even posted about
Yeah,
that they killed an American
yeah.
and British citizens.
Or
yeah,
you
I
could
posted
at
about
least
that.
say, "Look, our condolences go to them. It was an accident." Just say some kind of condolence. Nothing, because they're controlled by Israel, so they're not allowed to say anything as for British military men. So coming back to it, so he did that march, and they knew he was going to screen that movie, which is illegal. Now you can have an argument and say, look, should it be legal or not? Free speech.
Why is it illegal to screen a
Because
movie?
basically because that movie was about the court case that he lost. So imagine you do a court case.
All right,
Imagine I take you to court
Yeah.
and I beat you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, nah, bruv, I'm going to do a movie about it where I'm going to show you that really the truth is on my side. And the judge says, no, Sulaiman won the case, the defamation case, and any movie you're going to relay is lies and propaganda and basically is going to be defamation again, and therefore you're not allowed to release the movie.
Okay, so he violated some civil British law by doing that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So you can't, if you lose a defamation case, you can't make a subsequent movie about it, I guess, according to some.
No, it was just that judge made that judgment. Like it's not like an always case, like you can't do it all the time.
Okay, but
Right.
Okay, so all right, British.
Yeah.
So he violated
So
some civil British law.
And I'm not
Okay.
saying that. By the way, I'm not saying I agree with the judgment. Like,
Yeah, you're just saying that's what British
I'm
law
telling
is.
you. No, I'm not. That was the ruling of the judge. Not that it's British law. It's not like every time you lose a
Ooh.
defamation case, you have to not
So
be allowed.
maybe he made him sign an NDA or some shit like that as a part
It
of
was a judgment. It was an order. Yeah.
within the judgment.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So,
all right.
and by the
All
way, I'm not against him releasing the movie. Like I think everyone should have free speech. So
Okay.
I'm not bothered about the movie. That's not my argument.
Yeah.
Right. So then what happened was, but they knew he was going to screen it. Right.
Okay.
So
at
why
this march.
why not stop him before? So why let him screen the movie, have Elon Musk boost it because he replies to it, and then arrest him for a day and then let him out. I find this all very suspicious.
Okay, so he had this march. He gets arrested at the march.
No, after the march.
Okay, after the march. He got arrested. And you said he got arrested under the Terrorism Act?
Yeah.
Okay.
For 1 day.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, rather than 28 days.
Okay.
So I think it's all fake to, again, propel him and to make him more popular because he was dead. Until they start doing these fake legal cases and until Elon Musk started basically replying under his post and whatever, his following wasn't even moving. I went past him in followers. So even though when he was brought back, I know he's brought back later, but his follower wasn't moving. And I was like, well, I was less than him and then I went well past him. I think he was on like 400K. I was on like 380. I went to like 500 and he was still stuck on the same amount.
Okay.
And
On Twitter.
Then, yeah, on Twitter, that is. And I'm just giving the example just to understand like what's going on. And then what happened was
He got arrested in Canada. I remember seeing that.
And then these arrests keep happening and then he kept letting out and then basically all these...
What they arrest him for in Canada? Can we pull that up real fast? What they arrest him for in Canada? I'm trying to remember. It was something...
For being an illegal immigrant.
It was immigration, right?
Yeah.
Something on his, like, they said that he lied on his document when he came in or something like that?
He lied that he didn't have no prior convictions.
Okay. All right. Bills, if we could pull that up real quick. Go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
So what was it?
You were talking about him getting arrested.
So I say that all the arrests I don't believe in. They're all there to propel him. Ezra Levant's the mastermind behind it to basically propel him in social media.
And who's Ezra Levant, just so everybody...
Ezra Levant is a Jewish Zionist in charge of a rebel media.
Okay.
And Rebel News, you're probably seeing them. So people like Imal Chung and all these guys are basically part of that. You know, all these, quite a few of these Zionist accounts on Twitter, which are quite big, and Elon reposts are all part of that.
It's conservative media?
Well, they claim they're conservative. I say they're Zionist.
Okay, so it may be our American equivalent of Fox News.
No, I mean, Rebel...
Because I've never heard of a Rebel in America.
I think it's Australian.
Oh,
but, yeah.
Okay.
But like these accounts are on Twitter, so that's how we know them. Right?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So now, and I could be wrong about the Australian thing, so do double check that. So then what happened was, so you've got this pretext of what's going on, right? And then what happens is in Southport. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the Tommy Robinson. Does it show specifically why he got arrested?
This is pretty much.
Oh, CBSA. There you go. Everyone traveling to Canada must show they meet the requirements to enter the country. The CBSA notes that someone can be ruled inadmissible for a slew of concerns, including criminal activity or human rights violations. The specific allegation Robinson faces is misrepresentation. Scroll down a bit for me, Bills. Which can include giving information that is untrue, misleading, or incomplete. A spokesperson for the Immigration Division of the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada said on Thursday. So now Robinson, whose real name is Stefan Yaxley Lennon, faces a hearing which will determine whether or not Mr. Lennon is admissible to Canada and whether or not he will be authorized to remain or be ordered removed from Canada, the spokesperson said in an email. Okay, so basically, guys, a CBSA, Canadian Border Services Authority, if I'm not mistaken, is what they stand for. That they are, think of them as our Customs and Border Protection in the United States. So basically, he had an immigration violation, and that's what got him arrested. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So, by the way, I'll debate Tammy Robinson anytime, any place, right? Even on your show if you want.
I'll ask him.
Right. So coming back to it, so now you understand the pretext behind it, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened was you basically had a scenario where in Southport, so it's an area in the north of England.
Okay. It's in the north, but it's called Southport. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Southport, yeah.
Okay.
So it was listen, your guys' states are named after our states. So
hey, man, y'all lost in 1776, man. You guys showed up in those red jackets like idiots and lost.
The British are coming.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. So anyway, coming back to it, you basically had a scenario where in Southport, this 17-year-old went and murdered a lot of people. People who were at a Taylor Swift concert, killed at least 3 children. Right?
The fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like a huge incident that occurs.
Sure.
Right? And then a lot of major accounts, such as like these kind of like Dave Atherton. I don't remember if Tommy Robinson said it, but I think he did. And many of them basically lied.
Was this guy a terrorist, a 17-year-old kid that did it?
Many of them lied and said that it was a Muslim.
Okay.
And said his name was Ali Al-Shanti. I think I'll give you guys the links to it. But Ali Al-Shanti, right? So it's a Muslim guy. His name is Ali Al-Shanti. He's a Palestinian Jordanian. And he just came as an illegal immigrant off the boat 1 year ago.
That was the claim.
That was the claim.
Okay.
They perpetuated that and posted it, and it went viral, and it got the entire UK, a lot of people within the UK angry. They're like, wait a sec, why is this illegal immigrant who's only come a year ago, a Muslim terrorist, killing our women.
He killed them with knives, I'm guessing?
He stabbed him, yeah, stabbing.
Okay.
It was a stabbing, right? So he basically propelled all of these and manipulated them into thinking it. And why did they give that information? Because he wants everyone to turn against these people, because the entirety of the UK is pro-Palestine, and they want to stop the protests and want to stop the anti-Zionist speech. So they give this idea. So everyone start talking and start hating on Muslims again. So you know what was happening 10, 20 years ago? Oh, Muslims are evil, Islam, we hate Muslims. These guys are bringing Sharia law to the country, like 6% of the country. How are they bringing Sharia law to the country? It's the most dumbest thing ever. Grooming gangs, all of these things.
Okay.
Because there's this position that people say about the UK that there's a huge amount of grooming gangs that were occurring in the UK by Muslims, predominantly Pakistani Muslims, that were happening in the UK. That was basically, anyone grooming is horrific, right? And anyone who's grooming, I don't care what race, religion, who you are, like you should feel the full extent of the law. And actually within Islam, the punishment is much more harsher and much more graver to these people, including but not limited to the death penalty.
Okay.
So like it's all horrific. Their argument is that it is extremely, it's like literally only Muslims doing it mainly.
Okay.
Right? I looked at the data. I did a big thread on this and showed that actually it's not disproportionate. It's basically everyone does it. And even the study that they used, that they took only a sample size of 200 people. And what that study, which I basically debunked as well, but I said, look, I debunked your study, but let's just take that study as being true. What that actual study showed is that the Muslims were pimping, but the non-Muslims, so the white community, was actually partaking in the sex and the pedophilia. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Okay.
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 Now, that's what I showed.
So all parties are guilty.
yeah.
Okay.
But my point is this. Let's say I'm wrong.
So what? Who was that 17-year-old then? Was he actually?
Okay, no, he wasn't a Muslim. So I'm going to come to that.
Okay.
So, because I'm just giving you their argument so you understand what they were trying to propel about the Muslims.
Okay.
after
How
claiming-
long ago was this, by the way?
Which bit?
This 17-year-old that did this.
Just last Wednesday.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But then they start bringing up things from like the last 5 years, 10 years, grooming gangs.
To
Muslims
include
are
to
taking-
this situation.
Muslims are
saying
taking-
that this has been a problem for a long time.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Muslims are trying to take over.
Okay.
They're trying to implement Sharia law. Like, we want, all these type of things. Yeah. So obviously, I don't get manipulated by the media. So I was like, yeah, this is just totally fake, right? I don't even believe that. Let me see if it's going to be Muslim or not. But what I'm saying is, I know that the real reason is because of this. And then so later, after about a day or two, we find out that actually it wasn't a Muslim. It was a Christian guy, but he was a minority. So he's from Rwanda,
Okay.
but he's born here, but his parents are born in Rwanda. Does that
When you
make
say
sense?
here, you mean the United Kingdom?
Sorry, UK. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry,
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
UK, sorry. So basically, his parents are from Rwanda. They come to the UK, and then they work in the UK, they have children, and then he's the child.
So he's actually a Christian Rwandan.
Yeah, exactly.
How would they? I'm assuming if he's Rwandan, he's black, right?
Yeah,
So could they mistake him for a Palestinian Jordanian?
because they lied.
But I mean, just even off skin color alone, it's like
Because no pictures were released on him.
okay.
So-
Because he's a minor.
Yeah. 'Cause he's a
Oh,
minor.
okay. Now it makes sense.
yeah,
okay. Okay. So in the United Kingdom, you guys have similar laws to us, where if it's a minor, you don't take pictures.
That's
Their
right.
faces are blurred out.
That's right. Yeah, and UK has a
Okay.
weird thing where you're considered a minor if you're under 18,
Okay.
but like when it comes to like sex, it could be over 16. So it's legal to have sex with.
Okay. The age of consent is
Yeah, it's
16.
16, yeah.
But for criminal culpability,
Yeah.
18 and above.
Yeah, so that's what we consider a minor. So it's a bit
Okay.
It's a bit weird the way UK. So that's why.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
So now it makes sense. So what's his real name then? Because they tried to say his name was Ali something.
Axel, I don't know. Do you want to bring it up? Axel something. I can't remember.
Okay.
It's like some
Fair enough.
Rwandan name.
So the name was incorrect.
Yeah.
His background was incorrect,
Yeah.
and his religion was incorrect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh wow! How long did it take to get the truth
it
out?
was like a couple of days.
Okay.
By then, this entire
Of course.
this Muslim
yeah.
hatred has stoked up significantly.
Yeah.
Right? By Tommy Robinson.
Okay.
The guy who's for immigration but not against Islam. And why that's ironic is this, just for your audience. In the UK, illegal immigration isn't like the US. So people in the US sometimes get confused by it. Because you guys have a major illegal immigration issue, right?
Yeah.
And how many illegal immigrants do you guys have on a daily basis?
Oh man, a lot. They're catching them at the border every single day.
Do you know the numbers?
Ooh, I don't know the. I mean, we could look it up. I don't have the number. I don't know
so
the numbers.
Axel,
It changes year by year.
Yeah, Ritter Cubana. So that was his name.
Typically, when there's a Democrat in office, they attempt more versus when there's a Republican in office.
Okay.
So, but we can look it up and see how many people.
But why I'm
Go
saying
ahead.
that is I assume that you guys probably have more in a week than we have in a year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, probably more in a day than we have in a year.
100%,
So we have like 30,000 in the whole year.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not that much at all.
Exactly.
It's not that much at all.
But why I'm saying that is,
Well, the UK is kind of isolated. Like, it's not easy to get there. It's surrounded by
not
water.
easy, it's surrounded by
surrounded
water,
by fucking
bro.
water,
That's
dude. So
why-
it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they manipulate your mind into thinking that we have a major illegal immigration issue when we only have 30,000 illegal immigrants a year. So we don't have a
how
major
the fuck do they even get in by boat? I guess.
by boat from France. Yeah. So there's a major illegal immigration. So there isn't a major illegal immigration issue. Now migration does happen.
Yeah.
Right. Legal migration happens. Legal migration in the UK is not from Muslim countries.
Okay.
So the biggest legal migration, if you take the last year and the last 5 years, is from 3 countries. India, number 1. Number 2, and Tommy Robinson's friends with the Indians. He went on Indian TV just a few days and goes, "Me all want you. Like, come to England. Like, we want you in your droves. Like, I'm going to issue with Indians. It's just Muslims I have an issue with, right?"
Okay.
So,
A lot of Indians are Muslim, though.
yeah, about 30% are Muslim.
Oh, it's a minority.
Yeah.
I thought it was like more like 50,
No, actually,
50.
I'm wrong. It's not even 30%. It's much lower than that.
Really?
I'm wrong. Because if India and Pakistan hadn't split up, then it would have been quite close. But now it's like a lot less. I can't remember the figures on it. Yeah, someone will have to check that out. But
Okay.
I just know it's definitely not high because I know whenever I was thinking
The staggering majority is Hindu?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I was against the kind of like, and I know it happened in the 40s, but when I read on it, I think the India and Pakistan splitting up wasn't a good thing. And it's because of like these type of things. But
Okay.
coming back to it, so you got about 900,000 Indians who have come into the UK over the last 5 years,
Okay.
which is a lot. Remember, our adult population is only like 35, 40 million, right? In the last year, it's about 250,000,
Wow.
right? Chinese is the second.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't see that many Chinese when I was in London.
No, they're everywhere, bro.
God damn, I didn't see
You
that
were,
many.
no, there's a lot in London as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
shit, okay.
I'm always looking like, oh, there's one. Because
Maybe I didn't.
I've got this idea that actually, like, okay, this is gonna. I don't care if your audience gets cries now. So basically, like, I have this. My theory is this, and I know I'm right. Is that basically white women are basically either feminists disproportionately or LGBTQ. They're not having children. They're
In
not
the United Kingdom, you mean?
not throughout the world.
Okay.
They're not getting with white guys, and then white guys are basically going for minorities. And the first choice of minority they go for is Chinese or Asian, and then after that they'll go for black, and then after that they'll go for like a South Asian. Do you get? There's like a hierarchy.
I get what you mean.
Right. So this is happening
Because you guys
significantly-
don't have as many Hispanics in the United Kingdom. I noticed that immediately.
So in the US the same thing, but it's just the categories are different.
Yeah.
So in the US, like
You're basically saying it's minorities, but different minorities
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
versus in the United. Yeah, because y'all don't got no Mexicans over there.
Yeah.
Or not like we got a lot of
yeah. So
Hispanics here.
even the white guys in your country are not getting with white women. Let's be clear on that. Like,
Okay.
I know you're gonna cry and say like, "Oh, Sulaiman hates white people." I don't. I'm just telling you the data. I'm just telling you the facts. Like,
Okay.
you can deal with it and cry about it, or you can say, "Look, we're gonna start being a bit more conservative. We're gonna start going against feminism."
So you think a lot of this migration is from relationships, from couples bringing these Chinese people in?
No, they're mainly coming on student visas and these type of things.
Okay.
I was just telling you generally because you said you never saw no Chinese people.
Yeah, I didn't see. Yeah.
So-
Okay.
So the second is Chinese.
So India, Chinese.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chinese is in the last 5 years about 350,000,
God damn.
and in the last year it was like 150,000,
Okay.
something like that. And then the third is Nigeria.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Nigeria.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Nigeria is about 300,000, and in the last year is about 70,000.
Virtually all the blacks I saw in the United Kingdom and London they were from North Africa, Nigeria. Yeah.
Yeah. So all three of those countries, where most of the migration is happening, is not from Muslim countries, right?
What's the percentage of Nigerian Muslims? That's also, I think, a minority too, right?
Nigerians are minority, but I think it's like 30 or 40%. I can't remember
Okay.
the exact figure. Yeah.
Okay.
So understand this. So so if you're against migration in the UK, which is fine, I understand the logic behind that argument. Like, you don't want migration. It doesn't make sense that you're attacking Muslims,
I see what you mean.
right? You should be attacking where there's migration coming from, and they aren't coming from Muslims. So why are you attacking Muslims?
That's
Is the-
interesting because popular media spins it as
Yeah.
that
So
it's
why are you attacking Muslims is because Zionist-controlled media and people like Tommy Robinson have manipulated you into thinking it. So all I see, and you know what I find it hilarious? Like, these are the very same people who cry and cry and cry about I don't know if I'm what we're allowed to say on YouTube, like Z Power.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Z Power They cry about it. And yet they get manipulated by them themselves, right? So the Zionists have told you that's the case, and that's why they made you do it. But in reality, Muslims are only 6% of the population, and they're not the main migrants. So if you're against legal and illegal migration, that's fine. Then you're attacking the wrong community. Do that make sense?
Yeah, how many Indians you said came in? 250,000? 250K?
In the last 5 years, 900,000.
Okay, but 250 in the last year, right?
I believe it's 250, yeah. I've done a
Okay.
tweet on it. I think I sent it. I might not have sent it, actually.
Okay, and then Chinese, you said how many? 200? Like 200?
In the last year or the last 5 years?
Last year.
I think the last year was
What's easier for you to remember, 5 or the last?
Five's easier for me to remember, yeah.
Okay, so 900K.
900K, 350,
Okay,
and 330.
okay, and then 330, and that's all within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
And remember, our only population's only like 35 to 40 million.
Yeah.
Adults. The entire population is 70 million, but adults, yeah, it's
Okay.
about 40.
35 million adults. Okay.
Say 40.
All right. So go ahead. You can
Yeah.
keep
So you understand this whole perspective, right? So
Yeah.
I'm seeing this because I know all the like data.
The data.
And I'm like, you're all dumb, right?
Okay.
So
So now the riots.
now the riots happen. So what happens is they go to riot in Southport first, which was last Wednesday, I believe.
The first riot.
Yeah, the first riot.
And where did this happen?
Southport. The same place.
Southport. Southport. Okay. Yeah.
Southport. And so then what happened was they go for a mosque. And
Okay.
they attack a mosque.
Okay.
So even though by then the real information's come out, they go and attack a mosque, right?
What they do? Light it on fire or something?
They tried to, yeah, but then there was like police were there, right? So they basically they do burn loads of things aside. They basically cause havoc in there.
And these are far right activists.
Yeah. They attack the police. They beat up the police. They, do all of that stuff. And then what happens is you basically
Under the premise that there's mass immigration of Muslims.
Mass immigration, yeah.
That was the issue.
Yeah, I mean they make them convince them that that's the case.
Okay,
right?
interesting. Okay.
And then what happens is you basically have a and then somebody during the vigil, because there's a vigil as well, comes in with a machete or with a knife. I think it's with a knife.
Man.
I could
you
be
guys
wrong.
are so bad with knife crime, bro.
Yeah, we are really bad with knife.
Holy
for sure.
shit, man.
Mainly in London as well.
I hate the United Kingdom, bro. No offense.
Yeah. There's a lot of knives there.
Yeah,
but
bro.
you guys have got gun crime, right?
Yeah, but dude, at least I could defend myself. Like, bro, when I'm in UK, I'm literally like, I'm always looking around when I'm in London, dude.
No, but listen.
I never felt
but
more
not-
unsafe than anywhere else.
I agree with you. Like, but you're like, you live in Miami. It's really safe here.
Yeah, well, in Brickell. Once
Yeah.
you get out of this area, it can get pretty shitty. But at least you
Okay.
carry a gun, man. Like, you can't defend yourself in
No,
UK.
but like, someone could shoot you as well.
Yeah, but I'll shoot them first. I'm better. Like, at least I got a fighting chance. In the UK, it's like going to be a bunch of
but
fucking North Africans coming after you. Come here, mate. They're just going to chef you.
No, but listen, if they're with a knife and you're there, like you're a big guy, you'll be able to take them out.
Nah, man. Fuck that shit, bro.
Okay.
I'm not trying to get chased with machetes by a bunch of dudes.
Because I would say, like, logically speaking, if,
Because
because think about it, like when it comes to a gun, even a weak person can shoot a gun, right?
Yeah, of course,
But in a physical fight, even with his knife, then size and strength matters.
Of course. But
So,
dude,
like, for example, if it's
I'd rather get shot than stabbed, bro.
really.
Hell yeah. Stabbed? Nah, man. I'd rather get shot. But anyway.
Now, what would you prefer?
digress.
Someone coming at you with a gun or with a knife?
Am I armed too?
I'll give both scenarios.
If I'm armed, I'd rather them come at me with a gun.
Okay.
But because most people that carry a gun aren't even trained. They're stupid.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But anyway,
So coming back to it, so you basically had the incident in Southport, and then so this guy comes again with a knife, and again on social media they say he's a Muslim,
oh.
and then they spread it everywhere. Like, or even during the vigil, there was a Muslim, and that's the reason we rioted. That's the reason we tried to destroy the mosque. That's do you get what I'm trying to say? But then the next day again we find out it was actually a Caucasian guy. His name was Jordan Davis, I believe.
Oh shit.
Right? He just
So he's a Muslim at first, huh?
Yeah. But I think he had a beard, so he's part of some crew called the Beard Bros or something.
Oh,
so 'cause he had
that's
a
why they
beard-
assume that.
Yeah, so they assumed that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I didn't assume it. It's just fake propaganda again, because
Yeah.
they want to create this thing of Muslim hatred, and they're getting annoyed that the UK and most people in the West are for Muslims, are for Palestine at the moment. So it's a manipulation of their psychology to turn them against each other.
I see what you
Right.
mean.
So what they've done is that's why whenever I wrote a tweet, I always wrote far right Islamophobes to separate them from the far right who are not Islamophobes. Right?
Okay.
And if people are saying, "Oh, Islamophobe is not real," why are they going after a mosque? Like, how dumb are you? Of course, they don't like Islam. They've got an issue with that religion. They've got hatred towards it or fear towards it. Hence, why they've gone to the mosque. So you can call it Islamophobia, you can call it anti-Islam, but clearly it's there. They didn't. Once they found out Axel was a Christian choir boy, they didn't go to the church and try and burn it up, right? So it's clear that they went after a specific religion and a specific people. In addition to that, if it's really about illegal migration and legal, by the way, most illegal immigrants are also Indians. But anyway, if it's about illegal immigrant and legal immigration, why aren't you outside a Hindu temple then? Why aren't you outside where the most of the migration is coming from? Because none of this is about migration. It's actually basically attack on Muslims. That's all it is.
Okay.
And perpetuated by the guy who's all about that life. He's for immigration, even though he says against immigration, but he's for immigration, but he's against Islam. So you saw that in his recent video where he went on Israeli TV and he was literally like, you guys, like, look at all these guys, they're anti-Israel and you guys are the last line of defense and these type of things. So he full on does not hide the fact that he is a Zionist and that he's for immigration even from Indians on various other countries. He's just against Islam. He's not hidden that.
Okay.
So when you have him on your show, you should ask him and say, if you're for immigration, why do you keep on saying they're anti-immigration? Because he'll say, his argument is this, that these other immigrants assimilate, but Muslims don't assimilate, so that's why I'm against Muslims, but I'm for them, right?
Okay.
But the point is this, that means you're for immigration,
Okay.
you're just against Muslims immigrating, because you don't believe that they assimilate.
Okay.
So yeah, do ask him that question when he comes. Now, coming back to it, when so you've got this whole idea that's going on, and then what happens is Tommy Robinson. So after this happens, then the social media again perpetuates this to just such a significant manner again. And I just find all these people NPCs that they manipulated. Like you got psyoped. You got psyoped about a number of incidents before, either the sea issue or the previous wars, Russia-Ukraine war, or the L's, or the you got psyoped about all those things, right? And then now you just got psyoped again. Because in reality, an incident that occurred, you made it all about Islam. And so you did the South. Then what Tommy did was, with all of his far-right Islamophobes, he basically organized riots throughout the weekend. And you know these riots? They're like the BLM riots. That's the greatest irony, that you all cried about the BLM riots. Oh, BLM, why are they destroying property?
Oh, even in the UK they were talking about it.
Yeah, we had it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the
Wait,
BLM
you guys had BLM riots in the UK?
Yeah, we did. But it wasn't at the same level as yours, guys.
After George Floyd?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't at your guys' level.
Okay. So shit got destroyed, but not to the same degree.
Yeah. So but this one I'm talking about the UK and the US. So if you're all crying about the BLM and their riots, and you're crying that they're destroying property, and you're crying that they're destroying.
So the far right activists were complaining about the BLM riots.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the US it was the conservatives, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're all the conservatives in the US and these guys are all supporting these riots and being like, yeah, we got to destroy property. We got to show them in it. So in reality, that's what it shows you. Like, you only are against it because you're not doing it. Because now when you're doing it, you're literally doing the exact same thing.
I see what you mean.
Now, in the weekend, he basically organized, again, a lot of these riots. And again, a lot of the UK was attacked. Muslims were attacked. Muslim women were attacked. The acid was thrown at them. And the police, we all believe...
Acid was thrown?
Yeah.
What's up with you guys and you can't throw an acid at each other, bro?
Off the rock as
That's
well.
like a British thing, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Very low
like,
behavior.
fuck it. Y'all hear about, like, yo, bro, this is like a thing. They throw acid in the streets.
What?
Yeah, United Kingdom, bro. Yeah, it's like a way bro, because they don't got guns, man. Yo, look, man.
What?
Sully, I like you, but I hate the United Kingdom, bro.
Yeah,
like,
no,
no offense to all my British people out there, but anytime I'm in London, bro, I get in and get the fuck out, man.
Yo, you pulling up on the ops with
Bro,
hold on,
why
hold
do
on,
you-
acid
that, man?
on you,
Why do you
bro?
think I'm in the US all the time?
Bro, holy
Right.
man.
I see why, bro.
God damn, the United Kingdom sucks. All right,
So-
it's always no sun, it's cold,
True.
no hot girls. It's like, man, this place sucks. But continue on, sorry.
So then what happened was you basically got all these riots, and the police intentionally were letting them riot. Police were intentionally letting them.
Oh yeah, this is fuck this. I don't get
Yeah.
paid enough.
Yeah.
I don't got no guns.
And so then you add basically people from the Muslim community
Yeah.
who also start basically defending themselves.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are in disagreement and say, I'm back a Muslim.
Oh yeah, I saw like videos of people fighting each other with hammers and knives and shit. Like,
Yeah, people started. So there's certain areas where they also came out. Because you have to remember, like a lot of these young Muslims, they're not like our fathers, our grandfathers who came to this country. When our grandfathers came to the country, they kind of kept their culture. They kind of kept to the side.
Of course.
Right. What a lot of these kids they've assimilated.
Yeah.
They've become like the populace.
Yeah.
So they become like the working class.
Yeah.
So if you look at the, I know that people are not going to like this, but like, I don't care. If you look at the actions of the working class white and you look at the actions of the working class minorities, it's literally the same.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of
Because
course.
they basically act like each other. They act
Yeah.
like rude boys. They go around. Like, I don't do
Yeah.
none of this behavior, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like when growing up, I was like a bit smarter than everybody else. So I did my own thing,
Yeah.
right? But like they'll go in their cars.
They
and
use
they'll
the slang, all that
use
crap.
slang. They'll do these little.
Mandam, or they use all that shit. Yeah.
They'll do their wheelies and these type of things, and it's like everyone's doing it. Like this is like assimilation into like British culture, working class culture, not posh. Because you have to understand like there's a very big difference between like these posh Londoners in posh areas compared to like the north, where people are a lot more different. I'm from the north, so I'm very much from the I'm like from a very poor background, like from that working class background. So this is literally what it is. So like they were literally, so you saw certain areas where these guys were fighting back. Some of them were like, oh, we're gonna protect the mosque. Sometimes some of them were actually physically assaulting back. So this is what's happening. So that's why it's perpetuating. Now my thing is this, and then today what you had in Birmingham, they had news that, and Birmingham has got a decent amount of Muslim population. I don't know what it is. It'll be, if I had to guess, it'll be between the 6 and 15. So if I had to guess, it'll probably be like 9-10%, right? So they heard that there's going to be them coming out, so they went out in their numbers today. Now I'm vehemently against this because first of all, like I want like peace. We don't want any kind of riots. We don't want any type of fighting. But this game was played before. So in 2001, we had the Bradford riots. And what actually these Pakistani Muslims heard was that, oh, these far right are going to be in Bradford. So they went there and they weren't there. And then these guys start rioting, which is unacceptable. But they start rioting, they start burning things. And many of them got extreme sentences. Like they would I know like some people had stolen a bottle of water, they got like 5 years.
Oh,
Some people got 25 years. It was crazy. That's why
They want to send a message.
yeah, so that's why my advice to the Muslim community is like this is a trap as well. So just be smart and don't fall into the trap as well. Like I understand, like it becomes a difficult decision. Like for me, I'm not someone who is aggressive, but I guess for most people ask this question, and maybe I don't know if you're allowed to answer this question or not. But like, if you think somebody's coming to your community and they're literally beating up the women, like your women, they're physically assaulting them, they're beating up people in your community, they're coming to like burn a mosque, do you just leave it? Or do you defend yourself? Like this is
You have to defend yourself.
so some of these guys have gone out to defend themselves. I don't know if it's but then videos are coming out and them demonizing them as well. So this is what's happening in reality.
Okay. So what happened in Birmingham then?
So in
Something similar to that?
So there hasn't at the moment. So that was my
Okay.
concern. I'm just telling you, like today, that's what happened. That was my concern.
Okay.
But yeah, just don't fall into this trap. Like this, for me, it's quite simple. Tommy Robinson and the Zionists are behind it because what the real thing is going to happen they keep attacking and saying this is the far right. This is the far right doing it. And what's going to happen is they're going to put draconian laws in place. Because if they did it against the Palestine protests, a lot of the people would have stood up because a lot of the Labour supporters are from the left, right? So the people would have stood up against it. And they would have said, look, you can't ban Palestinian protests. You can't ban us speaking against Zionists. But now they'll be like, we're doing it because of the far right. We're going to stop protests and we're going to stop any kind of hate speech. Because this is what hate speech causes. Online hate speech, even Keir Starmer said it was on. All of this was caused by online. So we'll get even more censorship. We'll get even more police state.
Which in the UK, that's a crime, by the way, guys. Hate speech is a legitimate crime over there.
Yeah, but it'll become
It's not
much
like
worse.
in America.
But still, right now you can get away with saying the same thing. Like, look at me, I say certain things which are legal, right? But then maybe some of the things I'm saying are going to start becoming illegal. So what they're doing is they're going to use this to make laws, in my view, to help the Zionists out, to stop Palestinian
Oh, I
protests
see what you mean.
and to stop speech
It's going to
against
hurt both
Zionists.
parties.
Yeah, that's the reason. Because really, the far right is very. I know people don't like to hear it, but it's true. They're very minority. Like if you look at the counter protests, they were white people. So if you look at many of the counter protests in some of these areas, a lot of them were white people. So, like that's the overview of what's happening. So this entire UK thing is just like manipulation, and those people who fell for it are just NPCs.
Wow. Okay. Shit. Chats? Then we're going to close out here. Let's see what we got. Women voted for this crap. Let them D on this hill at this point, although it is the only reason people are even paying attention to women's sports nowadays. That's from With Ghost, okay? Alex Jones as well. He stood by Elon shitting on Maduro while sucking up to Elon. Got to be careful who you trust, no matter how much they say they're battling the deep state. Personally, I believe Elon Musk and Alex Jones are controlled. Okay?
Yeah, I agree because look, Alex
beans.
Jones. I believe Alex Jones is controlled because look, like Alex Jones wanted the coup in Venezuela as an example. Also,
He went there?
No, he was against Maduro, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then on top of that as well, if you look at these riots, at least with you've had me on, and I've talked about it. Now you're gonna have Tammy Robinson, so you got a balance there, right?
Yeah, I'll take both sides. Yeah, for sure.
Whereas he is just putting on people who are basically wanting to propel the riots even more.
Gotcha.
And remember, I know his team, so like they could easily have me on, but they're not. So Alex Jones is doing it on purpose because he wants to perpetuate this for the Zionists.
All right. I have a question for the guests. Do you have a prediction as to when the United States will be destroyed by Russia, China, and or Iran? From what you are saying, we're destroying our allies and ourselves.
So I don't think US will physically be destroyed by those countries. US is like very much dominant both in a military perspective and also in terms of the dollar is strong. Like I don't believe in this whole idea that the dollar is collapsing. Like I still think dollar is like the main thing, right? But they're going to be severely weakened where they don't have total control. So as an example, when all of these countries start going to alternative countries such as Russia and China, it extremely weakens it. And you're going to see it in, which matters more to you, in US society where you guys are going to start struggling even more than what you are already.
Okay.
I'll go to shops now. The next time I'm here, there'll be nobody serving.
Dumping coins test 3. Okay, that's told him. This is making fun of Mo. Don't ever doubt Mo. He has crazy game. Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, bro, what are you doing? That's white genocide. Why are you the white chick?
What? I mean, Alex.
I disavow Mo's white genocide.
I mean, hey, bro, I like snow in my backyard too. You know what I'm saying?
That's white genocide.
I like blonde hair, blue eye. Oh my God.
All right, next chat. For all the haters who said Fresh couldn't host a podcast by himself, he just proved y'all wrong with this masterpiece of a podcast earlier today.
Nice.
Wait, what? I'm confused.
You went live on Castle Club.
You went live on Castle Club?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
All right, top 5 stocks you just suggest to invest in. I'm not really a stock investor, guys. I mostly have index funds that follow the S&P 500 and the total market. So, you can go on Vanguard, you can go on any of these platforms. I have a whole episode on index funds, actually. Matter of fact, can we drop it in the chat for them? It's on Money Monday. So you guys, and I go in there to like which ones I have. But yeah, as far as stocks go, I don't really invest in stocks, guys. I have some index funds. The stock I do have is Chewy and Rumble. Rumble for obvious reasons, and then Chewy because it's hilarious. But yeah. Bangladesh government got overthrown, and it's funny. A woman was in charge. Oh,
Was it Lambo?
fair enough. What was that?
Was it Lambo Raul?
No. It was a while ago. I did it
Banks?
like last year and a half ago. Index funds. Type in index funds 101, something like that. Fresh and Fit. It's going to be in there. The Dark King 77. Sup FNF. I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to ask if you guys had any documentaries, books, recommendations on the true history of World War II, the Rothschild family, etc. Don't worry. On Castle Club, I'm probably going to do a watching of a certain movie, if you guys know what I'm saying. And we will go ahead and talk about that in more detail, where it covers World War II in detail. But I'm going to have to do it on Castle Club.
I'd recommend, I know it's not on World War II, but I'd recommend The Fall of an Empire by Gibbons. I think he gives a really good perspective on like how empires rise, how empires fall, and how like certain liberalist ideas and where they came from.
Which, by the way, real quick announcement that I want to make here, guys, by the way. Yacht party, Saturday, August 10th, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Open bar, 200 girls, going to be lit, 130-foot plus yacht. Huge, able to host 350 plus people. It's going to be a great time. We're going to be IRL streaming. We're going to be there. Girls are going to be there. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you guys come in. Tickets are on sale right now. Only $998. $1,000 to get on a yacht and hang out with us, bro. In Miami, Florida, you'll never get that price point ever. Okay, here's some pictures of the yacht. It's huge, as y'all can see. It's gonna be a great time. This yacht is brand new, by the way. It just got done being made in on July 28th or 29th or so. So we're gonna be one of the first ones to use it. It's gonna be a great fucking time, man. So make sure to jump in and join us in the party, man. This Saturday, man, it's gonna be lit. So anyway,
And giveaway.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing a giveaway on the Rolex, but that's for the VIPs.
Castle Club only.
Castle Club, yep. So yeah, guys, make sure. And we're giving away a few tickets, right?
Yes.
No,
3.
but you want to tell the people? Tell them about that. I got to piss anyway.
Oh yeah, we're giving away 3 tickets on Castle Club. It's in the description. Just fill out the form and only fill it out if you can come because it is on Saturday. So make sure that you can show up.
Yeah, don't be taking free tickets like people. So give the people a chance, isn't it?
Exactly. So if you're in Castle Club right now, I had just put it in the live chat. So make sure you click that. If you're coming, if you're not coming, don't click that link. don't sign nothing. Yes, sir.
Exactly. What's this? Okay, let me just make another point why Myron's gone. So look, I'm seeing like a lot of these comments, and actually maybe I did want Myron here for this, but look, like one of the things like Myron says on his show is, look, like black people, they're so sensitive. You can't say, you can say the N-word and they get. But look, this chat is proof. This chat is proof that everyone be sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen how many people are like, oh, he's anti-white, anti-European, anti-this, anti-that? Isn't that the same thing as saying Islamophobia? Isn't that the same thing as saying, racism? It's literally the exact same thing. That's why I was explaining that, look, when you look at this chat and how many people are saying anti-white, it's exactly the same as saying racism. So when black people say racism, you're now seeing the other side of it. And yet, what have I said, which is anti-white? But, like, you'd be dumbness. Like, the only thing that you could probably say that I said is anti-white is this, that, let's be clear on this, that white women are not getting with white men. And so for that reason, a lot of them have become LGBTQ, a lot of them have become feminists. And for that reason, you're not producing your own race. And when you're not producing your own race, like, you could blame other people, or you could be man up and say, look, we're going to get our society under control. We're going to get our women under control, and we're going to make them have kids. But you ain't got the ability to do that because you're feminists, right? So you're partaking in not white genocide, but white suicide.
All right. Let's see here. What do we got here? And for all you guys that are saying, yo, Sulaiman, blah, 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 talking crap, don't worry, guys. I'm going to bring Tommy Robinson on too, man. We're going to get both sides of the spectrum. So, you know me, guys. I have friends that are pro-Zionist and not pro-Zionist. So I like to have people from different spectrums and talk. And we'll see if we can set up a debate with them in the future. But I'm definitely going to bring Tommy in to tell his side as well. So don't worry, guys. All right, next Money Monday, can you go over what states/cities are the best to start investing real estate in? You tune in. You need to join Council Club right now, because we're going to be having a real estate call with Chris Crone tomorrow, okay? A billionaire in real estate. We're going to have that conversation at 3 p.m. tomorrow, so you need to get in Council Club right now and ask that question to someone who's very good at that stuff. So we're going to talk about that extensively. Don't worry. If you're not in Council Club already. Anybody else?
Yep, right here, J2.
WFNF, Myron, are you in the merchant automation business? I'm thinking about trying it, but I don't have the capital, but I was going to try to get a loan or a 0% interest credit card if I qualified. 11K to start, or should I wait until I have the money? I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't know anything about merchant automation business. So we could bring somebody in the future to talk about it, but that is not my expertise. So I don't want to speak about something I don't know. What else do we got? Oh, MM100M. Myron, did you see the stock market went $1.5 trillion today? Yeah, dude, it's down. I mean, crypto went down too. It's slowly coming back up, as you guys can see here. From the, we have our little charts here for you guys with the cryptocurrency, XRP, USDC, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., Doge. And then we also showed some of the stocks that had plummeted. But yeah, I mean, it happens, man. It's a correction in the market. And then obviously keep in mind, guys, that, we're anticipating a real conflict in the Middle East here, which we talked about in detail at the beginning of the podcast with Scott Ritter. So please make sure to check that out on Rumble. Obviously on YouTube, we couldn't talk about it for certain reasons. What else? Anything else?
Nope, that is all.
We covered all the stories, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's show, man. Sulaiman, what do you got? Any last words for the people?
No, that's it. I think we covered quite a bit.
Cool. Yeah, this week is going to be crazy, guys. So tomorrow, Zoom call, 3 p.m. with Chris Crone, guys. We're going to be talking about real estate. Then 5 p.m. I'm going to be on InfoWars with Owen Schroyer. We're going to talk about the Trump assassination, other geopolitical stuff more than likely. And then Wednesday, we're obviously going to have our either pop the balloon or reaction to something. And then obviously after hours. And then Friday, we're going to have Fresh and Fit. I'm gonna probably bring on a guest. I'm trying to think this Friday who I'm gonna bring on for you guys. I still gotta coordinate because we had a couple people that we might have to talk to. The party's on Saturday. Yeah, so we're gonna. Oh, and then I think Vitaly's gonna be in Miami as well. So I'm gonna probably be running out catching some predators with him as well. So Friday is gonna be a busy day. We're gonna have some streams for you guys and everything else like that. So it's gonna be a good time. And then other than that, guys, go check out Sulaiman. Sulaiman, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, and I'll be starting my show on Rumble back again when I go back to the UK, so in about a week, so check that out.
Nice. Yeah, go check him out on Twitter. Very active, huge audience on Twitter. So anyway, guys, love you guys. We'll be back on tomorrow. I'll be live on InfoWars, and then we're gonna have our call with Chris Crow. And make sure to tune into that. Get your yacht party tickets while you guys can. And Wednesday we are going to be doing something for y'all, probably red pill associated with dating or whatever it may be. And then Friday I'll keep you guys posted with guests because I'm talking to a few people right now that will probably get you on for Friday. Love you guys. Peace.
I ran so far away.